Hello.
Hey,
How's it going?
good.
Good.
So today we're basically, in a sense, to make it simple for people, we're dealing with uncritical thinking, just in general.
Right.
All the stuff we're going to address, but I think it's more important than that because I don't think the only problem is it's uncritical thinking. Because some of the things we're going to address, like pseudoscience, pseudohistory, pseudoarchaeology, actually racists use to support their arguments.
Right.
So they're not doing it just because they're simply being uncritical.
Yeah.
You know, they're pieces of shit assholes. There's something more going on than just I'm thinking, illogically in a sense. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? In general, that deals with these subjects that we're going to be addressing. There's
Right.
what people call the alternative history, group of people. And I don't use that word because to me, they're just conspiracy theorists.
Right.
I'm not giving them some special word, like religion would like me to give all kinds of special words to it too. And I don't do it,
Yeah. I don't feel like it's special, so it doesn't deserve extra
Yeah,
words.
it's not to me. It's a part of culture. So as someone as Native American, felt that in my side trying as the hardcore atheist, anti-theist, anti-religionist is my goal in a sense to force people to be atheists. I think that's stupid because
Right.
if you're presented the evidence, you should be able to decide. And if you decide that after reading everything that magic is possible, even though there's no support for that, well, I find that to be uncritical.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But you have, you're allowed to be uncritical. So
Well, right, yes, correct. Well, some people, correct. I think doing, especially pushing kids into sports,
Right.
where some people feel like it's doing something good. A lot of times kids get harmed. They also learn, to try to be the best, which puts all kinds of anxieties on children they don't fucking need. I just competitions in children, I really don't think is a great thing to me. Just in general, it creates what they should do is team attitudes. But see, even when they do it like in sports, it's your group like a tribalism against another group tribalism. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't somehow produce this anarchism for everybody solution.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So when they call it groups, they really are mean groups that then war in a sense against each other or practice doing that in a sense. I think it's fine for adults. I'm just saying to me, especially young children getting involved in all that, I just think it's not healthy. I do
Right.
think that young children need to be able to do something that's activities, but there's all kinds of fun activities you can do that do not involve sports.
Yep. That's right. That don't involve like feeling superior or inferior, right?
Correct, right. So is running bad? No, but telling people they have to beat each other or this person's the best,
Right.
especially for kids, I just think that is unnecessary, toxic society.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Let them fucking grow up first.
Let them run for fun.
Yeah, exactly. Even if they want to run in groups or try to become better, but the goal would be that even the best one would help all the others.
Yeah.
Where, see, really in competitions, you don't really want to tell your secrets, right?
Yeah.
Because then other people can actually do it. Like when I talk about axiology, it can sound like amazing, and I can show how almost any kind of a thinker that you put me with, because I deal with value, and every thinker is dealing with value if they're critically thinking, I can, in a sense, do pretty good, even if I don't know anything about the thing, because I understand how things frame. Just like understanding philosophy, and I've never really read a philosophy book except axiology. I've read totally 5 or so books of axiology, which is most of one subject in a sense, unless I guess prehistory. I've read way more of that actually. So, but anyways, I also wanted to address that why. So let's just say that they are doing that. Even the hateful fuckers, right? Pieces of shit. Why is that bad, Corey? Why? To me, it should be self-evident that those bad ideas then go out there in the world and don't just stay with that one person.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? They start like a cancer or something. They start spreading to this toxicity to other people. And so, yeah. Anyways, which is why I think also it's not good to have people in positions of lots of power.
Right.
Because you know what people do when they have lots of power? Commonly, they abuse the living shit out of it.
Yeah, that's right. They use it to their own ends, to perpetuate their own power, to perpetuate whatever they want.
Or their family's power, or the clan's power, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't, or the tribal, or whatever, or this side or that side. It just,
Yeah.
why I have a problem with right wingers is not because somehow they're on the spectrum. I check the spectrum first. It's I hear them talk and they say inhumane things, and I go, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it's the things they say that is bad.
Right, but liberals can do that too. So, or even leftists have said such like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
So I don't think that they're even an anarchist. I mean, Pierre, whatever his name was, Pardon, he was an anti-Semite.
Right.
It wasn't Balkan also? Didn't he?
Yeah,
say
Bakunin was also like anti-Semitic.
Right, to the point of genocide, where he basically says it would be better if this entire tribe of people was wiped off the face of the earth.
Right.
It's like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah.
How did you get that from the anarchist perspective? Let me hear you defend that.
Right, hey? Yeah. You can't, but
Yeah, you can't. And the real truth is that people like to find some moral high ground, right? That's because once again, like as in sports, it's about being better than someone else. It's like
Right.
beating them. It's not just that I will show you information and now we both know the truth. It's that I want to beat you so that you're in submission or what. It's just a whole attitude. I'm just saying the difference. You can, which I try to do. I know often that I know things other people don't know. And they'll talk to me and they'll want me to agree with what they say, and I know they're wrong.
Right. But they make it impossible.
but I was saying,
Yeah.
but my goal is, so I always think, I was going to say though, is I always think, what is my goal? Like axiology, what's the value of
Right.
what I do? My reaction is what I'm talking about. I can't control the world, right?
Yeah.
But I can control and should control my actions.
Right.
So I think axiologically, this person doesn't know things, and I know this whole bunch that can totally show where they're wrong. So I think, what has the value for me? Do I want to be abusive and just belittle the person for whatever reason? Usually ego and pride and selfishness and whatever.
Usually. That's usually what leads us to those things.
Right? The value. Where's the value at?
Yeah.
And that value is what's motivating you.
Right.
Right? The value. Like if I said something, I'll give you $1 million, it'd motivate you to do something.
Right.
I was making a comment that that's the value. When I talk of values in axiology, it means even truth and everything, because that is what's accurate, and what's accurate is the most value. How could it not? But I realize what would be a greatest value is I can help teach the person.
Yeah.
And my goal always is reason. It's not that, for me, I don't care as much about the argument. It's reason I hope that you get inspired to want.
Right.
Because that can, in other words, like they say, you give a person 2 fishes, or you teach them how to fish, and they can eat for life. And whatever, what I'm saying? I want to teach people the skill of thinking. So often when I tell them something, I try to show the process to make them think about how you do good thinking. So you don't end up doing pseudoscience, pseudoarchaeology, pseudohistory, all this, or support it or think it's good stuff.
Right. If you're using the analogy of the give a man a fish, you're not only giving them a fish, you're also, while you're eating that fish, you're showing them how to fish.
That's correct. Yes, I do both.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Which I told you in general that is sort of my philosophy, because there's different kinds of counseling. There's like long-term counseling, which is usually psychoanalysis, takes about 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, or something, just to get like what they consider that now they know what you are. It may take another 25 years. So Then there's also solution focused, which is immediate care, which you like for trauma. Someone just got come out of a bomb or kidnapping. We got to help that person.
Right.
Do you think they're ready for 3 years and then 25 years? Seriously? They need help now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I and there's always, in a sense, a battle for which is more important. And then nowadays, what people do is they just do the middle of the road. They don't do solution focused, and they don't do long term. They kind of just. But also, it's because what usually companies, now not in Canada probably, but I'm in America. The companies or whatever, you can't get that many counseling sessions.
Right.
So they consider it not necessary. What the fuck? People kill themselves or hurt others because they don't have counseling. So how can it not be? It should be free everywhere. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I hope in our society we do that.
Yeah, we do have like pretty good services in some places, but others it's severely lacking. In our quote unquote universal healthcare, mental health is not covered.
So, see, and how is that possible?
Right.
But probably sex is, right? If they want Viagra, is it covered?
I think so. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So see what I'm saying? So an unnecessary sex drive, because let me tell you something too, most people, if you lost your penis, you're elderly. So, I mean, I doubt you're out there just hitting the
right,
streets. But I'm saying, compared to your brain, which you could go kill yourself or hurt others. Like, how can mental health, just think, in America, all the right wing always say that don't ban guns. It's always a mental health issue.
Right.
They're not serious people, though, because they don't give a fuck about helping mental health either.
No. That's right.
So, well, it reminds me of when people go, well, I don't know why we're going to other countries and feeding them and all this. Like you don't even care if we feed kids here. Well, that's true. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that's about good and bad thinking. I mean, and to me, good thinking has to add humanity.
Right.
But humanity would be the ethical thing to do as a society. Well, then it is certainly the most valuable thing. Yeah. So, speaking of on that good note, I want to address one of people that are an atheist republic.
Right.
Armin, who I think just tries to be, I guess, garbage. Because his ideas are certainly that. I mean, like, did you see? I sent you that picture, right?
Yes, that's right.
Two things that he said. Oh, he says much more than this. It's just these are just two of his little gems. He says the Palestinian flag is a symbol of terrorism. This guy's a fucking fool.
Yeah.
What are you fucking talking about? Then he also was on a podcast to explain his intelligence, right? What he calls the cult of woke. I'm like, oh, someone says shit like that, I know they are a dumb fuck or a bigot.
Yeah, that's right. and Armin is like, and I guess I kind of want to be careful about how I say it, but he does hold bigotry towards people who are Muslim. He is an anti-Islam bigot, and not in like I'm critical of the religion, I'm not critical of the thinking. He like thinks that all people who are Muslims are bad, or he's like he's compared it to Nazism. So
his lack of critical thinking, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing too, and people go, well, all atheists are critical thinkers. I'm like, man,
that's just not true.
That does sound nice. It does on paper.
I wish.
I wish, because they wouldn't say dumb shit like this fucking dude does.
Yeah.
Anyways, I know he for a time was listed as hate speech on American. I can't remember, but then they took him off. He was on there for a while. I can't remember now but he was listed as hate speech. Everybody got pissed off. I thought, oh, that's odd. I know the guy's kind of like, not my thing, but I didn't think of him as being. I didn't pay. Just like even though I was in the atheist community, like I am in general, I don't really care about what other people are doing. I do my thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. Like I was in the atheist community. I organized a conference. I had meetings and interviews with people that, I looked up to and admired. But slowly but surely over time, I withdraw my support of those people,
Yeah.
as their reactionary and shitty politics kind of comes out.
Right. And so to top it off, those two things are both like ridiculous. But I just want to play his little video because just listen to it. Does he talk like a rational person? He sounds like a fucking child. He's like yelling at the Kirk whatever about Israel because he's like gone. I don't know if he's got like something in his brains wrong with him about Israel, which is so crazy because he, as an atheist, could not immigrate to Israel. So I don't know why he thinks they're so fucking wonderful. I mean, even if he does all this, they still would say, yeah, convert to Judaism and you can move here.
Yeah, they would still insist on the conversion, right?
Yeah, which is fucking. How can an atheist be like, yeah, that's great, that's freedom, or whatever?
He's following he's towing the line of the new atheist rhetoric, like that's Sam Harris and like Richard Dawkins. They're pro-Israel and anti, Palestine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, this is what's weird too. Could you be anti-Hamas and pro-Israel? Sure. Could you be anti-Israeli government and pro, Israel? Could I be anti-Trump and be pro-American? I'm not pro-American, but I'm just saying. Could it be done? This bullshit. Sure. This bullshit of what the rulers are doing, it somehow gives you a right to murder all the innocent people. The fuck is right? You get what I'm saying? So even if Trump becomes a dictator, right, and America becomes full on, he just starts wearing a Nazi uniform because I know he likes the fucker. But let's just say he does that, right? Does that give all the countries of the world, right? Because of course they're supposedly anti-Nazis. Yeah, they're not.
No,
the only reason they hate Nazis because they attacked them. If the Nazis would have attacked other people like Asia or whatever, they would have said, "Fuck, go for it."
Yeah, anyway, that's right.
I'm just making a comment. It was not out of some moral thing. It was simply because they were being attacked.
Yeah.
Anyways, but let's because in America, right, talked about how hard it is to Nazis and all this, and how his propaganda fucking takes all the Nazis and makes it part of the nuclear program. Of course, they don't get put in jail or anything. Just no harm, no foul. Genocide, murder, torture, no problem. Come on in.
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress. But I'm just saying, so I don't know why people on either side don't get that you can actually be against a government completely, and that can be completely justified. That doesn't somehow justify racism.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So go ahead and play his dumbass video just so we can hear how ridiculous he is. Just want to play it. You don't have to play the whole thing, even though it's like 50-something seconds. I don't want to hear it. I'm just saying, is this how a rational person fucking sounds?
Right.
Dude, he sounds rabid off of crazy shit. And his argument is not even correct.
Right now, if Israel goes back and hits Iran again, then there's going to be no end to this. Then Iran is going to have to respond.
No, you idiot. If Israel doesn't respond, there will be no end to this. You moron. Do you understand how deterring works? If somebody bullies, let me tell you.
Pause for a second.
Yeah.
So let's start with the
who's the fucking bully here?
Yeah, but it doesn't even if I agree, but I'm even just all I want to say is there's three different, in a sense, things I see as truth, right? There's pragmatic theory of truth of how you form ideas and how you decide you should have critical thinking or whatever. It's in this, and then you actually apply the critical thinking, right?
Right.
So it has to be coherence theory of truth, meaning what you say outside of anything else, you say cannot be internally contradictory.
Right.
You can't say blue is red and down is up, and you know what I'm trying to say. You can't, because especially if you go back and forth,
right?
What the fuck you saying? So I'm just to help it simplify it. It's a kind of logic. So outside of everything, his argument is bullshit. It doesn't matter who's involved. So everything is escalating, right? And this, just so you grasp what this is about de-escalation, which, by the way, is an actual type of thing.
Right.
Not just any fucking word you want to make up and change it. And
no, it actually has a meaning, right?
Correct. De-escalation means to stop or lower conflict.
Yeah.
So he says, no, what you need to do is punch them.
Right.
Literally escalation. Do you see how no matter what, he's illogical as it's a logical fallacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just said a word which is de-escalation, and his says, no. How you have to de-escalate is fucking punch people. What the fuck?
Yeah.
How the fuck is that de-escalation? That literally, if you punch me, likely I'm gonna fucking start punching back. So I mean, I would just making a comment that no matter anything else, he's illogical. I'm just talking about critical thinking. Keep going.
This to you like you are a child, because you seem to be like a child. Okay, if somebody bullies you in school, okay, and takes your lunch, it hits you, gives you a veggie and takes your lunch money, okay, you're not escalating by punching him. Okay, if you don't hit back, then you're escalating,
but
because the bully is like, okay, let's do this again. I'm not getting any resistance.
So first, he doesn't grasp de-escalation, which literally means you don't do aggression.
Right.
Then he also does an extra fallacy to the other word, which is escalation.
Right.
Where he said escalation is to de-escalate. Literally is what he's saying.
Yeah.
If you do not, to him, escalate, then you're automatically causing the problem. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it's also, you're putting two things together. You're putting bullying as opposed to a nation that's throwing bombs, just because, didn't he always, like I said, axiologically, you get confused if you put too many details. Just think of the internal assumptions.
Right.
When a state does anything to another state, it could end in years of fucking war and millions dead.
Yeah.
It's not the same value. Talk to him as a child. It's not the same value as when you say somebody needs to, not take my lunch money. Well, what's the possible harm? He murders 1 million people? You know what I'm saying? You get the point that, so I'm just saying that when you're talking about war, it's not the same as someone in your block is parking their car on your, sidewalk or whatever.
Well, and even if you do want to draw that comparison, Israel's the bully. They bombed the fucking embassy of Iran first.
Yes, they did. They did.
Like, he's just counterfactual. Like, he's making logical fallacies and he's not factually based.
True, but that's correct. And I agree with you. But my point was about this video we're going to get into. What I want to address is how you do critical thinking and how people can just throw a bunch of words and start changing meanings.
Oh, yeah.
It's just dishonest as fuck.
Yeah, you just
get to this. I was trying to show. Yeah, you're correct. So
he just gets to, like you say, be dishonest, make up whatever he wants, and use words however he wants.
Yeah, it's just, Yeah. So like I said at the beginning, anyone that gets mad, garbage. Doing that is fucking garbage. Anyways, enough of him. And yes, I agree. It is well. And let's just think of this too. Let's say Israel a second, because now you made me think about what I want to say about that.
Yeah.
So this is what I think is insane. So America says, don't do no more, right? And don't do anything to make a larger conflict. And so then they immediately attack Lebanon. What is that? Not fucking trying a larger conflict? But that wasn't enough, Corey. So then they started attacking, Iran too. So they're attacking multiple countries.
Yeah.
It's like, that's going back to the bully. Who's the bully and his
Who's
little
the bully?
story?
Yeah.
Israel is literally being the bully.
Even if you want to, just he's wrong in every possible aspect of his video.
Right. Yeah. Just like I said, garbage.
Yeah.
But yeah, but all I was trying to say is that I didn't have it on to talk about Israel per se. I was trying to show how logical and illogical thinking, and how people sometimes, it's like pseudoscience. It's kind of similar. See, his words is similar, but when you really break them down, what the fuck are you talking about? You can't use words like that. That doesn't mean what you just said.
Yeah.
So
Armin is not a smart person, I don't think.
Or a bigot, as you said. And bigots, that goes back to the pseudoscience. Why do people often favor pseudoscience? Because they're bigots.
Right. Yeah.
It
justifies.
Justifies. It's support. A lot of religious people like that shit. Why? Because it justifies the possibility their bullshit is true. They love that. So I was always going back to motivations. All the motivations are not always one motivation, as in just uncritical thinking, which he did lots of.
Yeah.
But it's a whole bunch of it. And then dishonest words. It's like, okay, that's not an accident. Or he's a complete moron. Like
that's right.
So either he accepts he's a complete moron, or you know what? Yeah.
He's being dishonest on purpose. Yeah.
Exactly. Intentionally committed fallacies is intellectual dishonesty.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying that I am some perfect person and never do anything wrong, but I'm willing to change and update. And that is, in a sense, I feel like good belief etiquette, reasoned belief acquisitions, what's coming in. And then you should have, in a sense, good belief maintenance, where you check your ideas, even though you bought it before. Does this still make sense to new information or to what we know now? That's what I always do. I know a lot of stuff about prehistory, but I'm always checking it out, seeing different ways. Could it be looking a different way? Because I like the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I find that it's much more useful than the non
value, right? It's got a higher value, definitely.
Yeah,
for sure. So let's go to the blog.
Okay. So we're looking at addressing pseudoarchaeology, pseudohistory, pseudojournalism, pseudoscholarship, and pseudoscience.
Right. And we're going to try to address all of them, but the whole point is this, like I was trying to say at the beginning, in a sense, it's a critical thinking issue for some people, but not all. Some people, like I said, favor it because it supports their fake beliefs, like religion or racism or sexism. Well, this one study said that women did whatever. And like, well, did you know that 95% of all violence in the world is from men?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a medical thing needs to be done or something, you know? How can we get less violence in the world? If men were not here, it would only be 5% violence. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that it doesn't have to be. Like in our history, you know, people think like we were always killing. Not that there isn't some evidence of that, but it's pretty sparse. It's really around agriculture that everything turns absolute shit.
Right.
And then just stay, as you see, just like a rolling ball or shit. It just keeps getting worse as the generations went faster down the hill. Oh,
Yeah, like what is it like? I think it's Steven Pinker. He has like in his book, one book about um, the better angels of our nature or whatever. He makes the argument that things are getting less violent over time. But I think that while maybe the individual particular cases of like brutality might be less, the mass scale upon which we can do violence is bigger, right?
Well, speaking about bullies, so Russia, to me, is certainly being a bully. But
Yeah.
did you know that they have less than 3,000 children killed? And how long have they been fighting? Like a year or 2 years?
Yeah.
Or I don't keep totally up on it. Right.
Yeah.
So Israel in like what, 6 months? 30,
Yeah.
was it 30,000 people? And I can't remember how many children, but like 14,000 or something. So like way more than years that even Russia did, who's being a bully, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So you have to think, is Israel a bully? I'm just saying. I mean, the level of murder of children is fucking unacceptable as hell.
Yeah, that's right.
It's horrific. And anyways, I don't want to go on with all that, but
yeah,
I'm just making a comment that I'm agreeing with you about the bullying thing.
Right.
And like I said, you're doing it to the point of trying to almost get America in. Like, in America, like, oh, it's wrong to hurt children, we need to send them aid, but hey, make sure they have more bombs.
Right.
Like
right.
bombs, what the fuck is left? Rafa, why do they need more bombs? I'm just saying. Excuse me. They need more 200-pound bombs for what fucking reason?
Yeah, no. They don't.
I don't. Even if you support the war, how can you support that?
Yeah.
What left is there to bomb?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yep.
And then Armin supporting it like fucking like he's Jewish or something, or a Zionist.
Yeah.
Fucking full blown doesn't even. The most ugly part of it.
It's. I mean, I don't know his particular thing. It just seems like he's towing that new atheist line, the same as but I think Sam Harris, where a lot of this stuff comes from, he's heavily invested in American imperialism. Like he really believes that the West, the North, America is the best place and has the best system. And, so I think, yeah, it just seems like that's where this is coming from.
It's got the best system, but it doesn't ever rank in the highest of happiness.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder why that is. Right. It does have the most shootings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And mental health issues as far as because I mean, mass shootings is all mental health. It's supposedly the Republicans. So we have a mental health epidemic. So everyone's not happy.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is, Sam Harris.
Highest in incarceration.
Yeah. So is that what he means by good?
Yeah.
Oh, I read his book and I thought, where does he not mention axiology? I don't even think he mentions metaethics. Like, no. Dude, you never read metaethics. Shut the fuck up.
No, he intentionally threw out any discussions of metaethics because he thought it was boring.
Yeah, like defending, it's like a logical argument. Defending why morals that you choose are the correct ones.
Yeah.
Ooh, heaven forbid, that sounds boring. I bet it does.
Yeah, that's right.
Because in an authoritarian mindset, you don't want other people to be involved in discussions.
Yeah. Yeah, because that way you might have to justify yourself.
Right, which is what an anarchist always wants to hear from authority. Oh, you're going to justify? Oh, you can't self-justify.
No, you can't just say, I have authority, therefore I deserve
it. That's right. Yeah, I don't think so. Anyways, so back to the thing. So, and then you see the picture, right? It's,
yes.
I made this because I was trying to explain it to people so they can grasp how these things work together. Because people are like, well, I'm this, and then science is only this. And I'm like, that's not correct.
Right, yeah. So you've got science at the center, and these like Venn diagram intersects with experience, reason, and rationalism is in there. And then skepticism is in with science, observation, and experience. Empiricism is in with reason, science, and observation. So, yeah. It's all, I like this.
Right? Well, you know me. I try to take really complicated stuff and make it easier.
Yeah.
Which is also why I can't believe I'm not more popular, because I take these really complicated things and I do make them easier. But I don't know. I guess I don't toe the new atheist line. So
no, that's right. It's not easy enough. You're not saying that aliens did it. You're not. You're not attributing it to white people.
Yeah, too easy. That's right. You are right. My stuff, but I try to put most of the stuff on me to learn. I don't force everyone to learn and I try to make pictures to simplify a whole bunch of really deep concepts. Simple, I try to work very hard on me to make it easier on everyone else.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
Yeah.
Days, maybe my book will come out and then everybody will start to like me better. You're right. You're anti-capitalist. They'll read that. They'll stop the book. Oh, this guy's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Fucking wants freedom for people and human rights. Oh, what the?
Ridiculous. Can't have that.
Yeah. So anyways, so go ahead and read, because why I also did this is because some people are like, science and philosophy can't work together and all. I'm like, oh, they're totally together. They should be together.
Right. Yeah. They in fact rely on one another.
I'm like, oh, they should. But so that's why I wrote to me.
Yeah. Science and philosophy work together. Yeah. So we've got archaeology isn't science because you didn't witness history happen, in quotes. Physics isn't science because you didn't witness subatomic particles. Biology isn't science because you didn't witness the bacteria attack your liver. And chemistry isn't science because, this is archaeologist Bill Farley, some guy.
Well, it's like a joke. Some guy trademark. He's a college professor, but he does archaeology, real archaeology in a sense, and then he also does video game archaeology, which is still, he adds his real stuff to it in a sense, or he analyzes. I haven't watched him because I don't really like video games, so it doesn't interest me at all. But I mean, it's cool that he does that, and so my point is that's why he's trying to joke around. In fact, he even said he would talk to people like Graham Hancock. He's totally fine with it.
Right.
So Graham Hancock's like, every archaeologist is all mean. This guy's not mean. I think he's too nice to people, probably.
He's a very nice person.
Because I'm just saying he's really nice. Anyway, he's joking around is what's going on. And then I responded to him.
Yeah, archaeology is science.
Yeah, I just say it like it is.
Yeah. So then we got bioarchaeologist Scott D. Haddow.
Well, let me explain real quick some reason some people say this, because archaeology, just so people know, comes from anthropology.
Right.
It used to be only anthropology. And then when you actually dealt with the science of like the artifacts, they called that archaeology, because you could be an anthropologist and dealt with culture.
Right.
That's sociology in a sense. Right. So it's not the same as the actual artifacts. You could also be an ethnographer.
Right.
Meaning you go to a culture and you basically, live there and figure out how they live and think and talk and whatever. You write all that stuff down. So then when you know, like, about shamanism, good thing that people did stuff like that in the 1600s or 1500s or in Siberia, we wouldn't even know anything about, shamans and some of the stuff that, got lost. Anyways, like history.
Yeah.
So anyways, but that's that. So they're kind of historians in a sense also. I'm just saying that then archaeology can be all those things too. And often you can be an anthropologist and do archaeology also.
Mm-hmm.
So just depends on what you focus on. Anyways, so I'm just saying that it's in a sense, it's a hard science, the actual artifacts and stuff. It does history in a sense. So that's another kind of, in a sense, when you do it correct, it can be a science. It's facts, it's arranging facts and presenting them, whatever, history. So it does that too, which is a kind of a social science. So I'm just saying, so they're both science. Like,
Yeah, this is a distinction I find that is I don't find it helpful because science is still science, right? Like you're still studying things and
yeah. And when you do tests, and even they have experimental archaeology, which I dig a lot, where they
Right.
actually try to recreate the items with the old techniques and then try to use them and see how
Oh,
very
that
cool.
sounds really cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's
that
real
sounds
cool.
really cool.
They even sometimes they've made villages and stuff and then live there. It's
Wow.
not ethnography. In other words, there's no culture anymore, but they try to live like those people and say, how easy was it to cook this or do that, or how
Right.
easy it was to hoe the ground with that kind of a setup, or anyways, whatever. But I think it's really cool. You find out, it's again science facts. You do research. Oh yeah. As I always say, you look first. So they do. That's experimental archaeology. They think it sounds like, oh, they're doing just flim flam or something. No, that's real science. They're just doing experiments.
Right. Yeah. It's I think sometimes people get hung up on like what they want science to be a specific thing, right? Rather than just like observation and hypothesis.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Come on. There's a lot of things that are science that don't fit right in that neat thing, even the ones that people would agree are empiricism stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Like, yeah. Anyways, so just wanted to classify why I say it so strongly. To me, it's two kinds of science, at least.
Yeah.
Probably three.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So then, I guess bioarchaeologist Scott D. Haddow says not every archaeologist uses science in their research, and that's okay.
That's like I said, if they're doing history or something, or they're just categorizing things or whatever, or know. But to me, even that, in a sense, is so. Weren't animals grouped by science into categories? And isn't DNA grouped into categories? Is it only the testing of DNA that's science, or also the category that they come up with?
Yeah.
Do you see why the distinction is in what? They're doing science. What the?
Yeah, I find this not very strange.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to, because this whole thing is, to me, is about critical thinking. Even though we're addressing all these problems, one of the, if in other words, if you're an honest thinker, of course, if you're not an honest thinker, this is a waste of your time, I guess.
Right.
Because we're trying to.
What are you doing here?
Well, I'm hoping you're an honest thinker, because if you're an honest thinker, then you do understand how to critically think and how to reason, and when you should position skepticism or whatever. You need to understand. So I'm just trying to help you understand, especially since we're talking about pseudo history and pseudo, stuff in science. And this you can see how it's all connected. Archaeologists are trying to defend themselves about science. Yeah. So it's part of pseudoscience to call archaeology not science.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
so.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we've got, and then Bill Farley replies, says 100% true and correct. I don't think this makes archaeology not a science, though. It is a malleable approach that allows for many perspectives, which is a good thing.
I totally agree.
So then, Micaiah B., Reverend of the Gender Theocracy. I love that name.
I just put people's title on thing, and then their handle, so people can go check them out if they want to.
Yeah, no, I like that. So says, I love that my brain processed the last sentence ending like that, not due to character limits, but due to them doing something so absurdly foolish while trying to prove it isn't science that they caused an explosion. Yeah. And so then Bill Farley says, hi, yes, I had enough characters that I could have done another snarky science. Maybe astronomy isn't science because you didn't actually step on Venus or something. Yeah, that's right.
Right. So once again, do you see how, like I said, all this is critical thinking? Even those joke statements, it's challenging you to think critically. Is that reasonable?
Right, exactly. can you reject astronomy as a science based on your lack of personal experience with Venus?
Right.
I don't think that's how that works.
No.
So Jeff Siebert says, I get your argument 100%. I often point out in my work with civil engineers that archaeology isn't science per se because the predictive modeling isn't that great. Mostly so they stop asking me what's out there in unsurveyed areas. I hope there's more. And so, Bill Farley replies, I hope there's more to the science of archaeology than predictive modeling, though I did have several hours long beer-soaked convo with two CRM archeo friends just last week about predictive modeling.
And CRM is a kind of archaeology. I can't remember now off the top of my head what it means.
Okay.
But it's I think if I'm right, it's almost like gig work.
Oh, okay.
CRM archaeology is like you're like gung for hire to go do archaeology, sort of.
Ah, interesting.
Instead of like a cool, because the difference is like, say, Germany and some college sends a scientist archaeologist to say Israel or to Iraq or Iran or China or whatever, and they do it for like 10-15 years.
Right.
That's a different kind of archaeology than a person kind of
that moves from
goes
job to
to a
job.
site, then digs it all down, and for a year, then leaves and goes for 6 months. And anyways, I think that's what it is. But anyways, just it's an archaeology type of thing.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, someone could say in the thing.
Sure. So then Emily BK says these people will happily attack all historical and observational sciences for not being quote unquote experimental, as if botany and anatomy don't count either.
I thought all this was good arguments or good discussion.
Yep, for sure. So then Bill Farley also replies, and archaeology literally is experimental sometimes. We've got a whole subdiscipline for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I talked about.
So Hodgepodge Henry says, I always explained the archaeology I was involved with as a student was science adjacent. Uses science, had to learn the philosophy of science, but not the same as what my friends were learning who were studying chemistry, physics, etc. But some of that is the difference between UK and US degrees. To which Bill Farley says, I'm not of the opinion that archaeology is a science and only a science. I think it's actually perfectly situated at the intersection of social science, bench science, and humanity. When critics say archaeology isn't a science, what they mean is they don't think that we do the work of any value, and that everything we do is at best guesswork and at worst intentional woke narrative building. And also, I just think the logical fallacy that I mentioned in this tweet is funny. Like, they remember vaguely hearing in high school how science is about observation and thus believe you must literally be able to see something with your pathetic human eyeballs to do science. Yeah, that seems like, like when you say observation, there's a variety of ways that things are observed, right? Like, you don't just, it's not by touching it or looking at it specifically, and but.
Yeah, fun times. People mucking up words like we started with Armin, not knowing words. Okay,
yeah.
Reading.
Yeah. Hodgepodge Henry says, sorry, yes, people like that haven't much developed their thinking since they were children.
Oh, he was talking about children, Armin, remember?
Yeah, that's
that guy
right.
needs to be talked to like a child.
Yeah.
He has it backwards. He needs to be talked to like an adult.
Yeah, that's right.
Go, hey, you're an adult. Stop being a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Grow up.
And finally, Bill Farley says, it's hard to balance it's a hard balance to strike in defending the discipline. Defending the discipline at all sometimes seems ridiculous when there's so much to criticize. The science part is tricky because to the general public, science can just mean like true or systemic, not political. So.
Right, which I do think political science can be a science.
Yep.
But anyway, so the next thing we see is my cover for Twitter. And the biggest reason I did it is because AtHope Marie is my handle.
Oh yeah.
And that's important because John Hoops uses that handle to say, I'm not an archaeologist. I want you to read that. And he was responding, by the way, to Archeo Game, which is Bill Farley, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't to that post. It was, I talk to these, interact with these people a lot. And this wasn't even John responding to me. He was responding to Bill Farley about me. And he was, so I wanted you to, and also what it was, that you're going to read or whatever, that tweet had to do with Bill Farley wanting to share archaeologists or trustable, links to people that talk about prehistory.
Yeah.
And so now I didn't come there and say, hey, you should check my stuff out. No, it was an archaeologist, anthropologist, John Hoops. He, without anything to do with me, he went there and said, you should, check out Damien.
Right.
I want you to read that.
Yeah, he says, replying to @Archaeology Game and @Tony Trupp, AtHope Marie is not an archaeologist, but he covers a lot of archaeology with a critical thinking approach. And then he shared a link to one of your blogs.
Oh, actually, to my blog in general.
Just in general, okay.
Yeah, DamienMarieAtHope.com/blog. So I think that just to get started, right? So what did I say? The problem with pseudoscience and all that stuff, a lot of times can be critical thinking.
Yeah.
It's that people, like you said, they like the easy assumptions or fantastical ones, know.
Yeah, you find people in all aspects of science or science communication, cutting corners in various ways, in their thinking and in their conclusions.
Yes. So I'm just saying. So it's good though it's not like just me, because I could tell you all day long I'm great. That doesn't actually mean I'm great.
Right.
Trump says it all the time, and is not a liar, and that itself is a lie.
Yeah.
So, anyways, good. Then the next thing he said, he didn't say. I wanted to show that archaeologists. So not only that he's like promoting me almost there, or at least supporting me.
Yeah.
That I'm trustable. He's saying I'm critical thinking, which is good. I appreciate that, John.
For sure.
And also that archaeologists share my stuff and like my stuff also. So that's what these next things are basically, in a sense, to support evidence of, because this crazy shit that I like evidence.
Yeah. You're not just going to say that archaeologists support you or believe in what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're going to show that. Yeah.
Dang it. Do I always do that? Jeez.
Jeez, eh? Yeah.
So
then,
see here, and what he shared is the center of the world, Axis Mundi, or Sacred Mountains mythology could relate to the Altai Mountains, the heart of the steppe. This is all my speculation.
Right.
I don't know this for a fact. I highly assume it because of a whole bunch of different reasons.
Yeah, for a whole bunch of different reasons. Exactly.
I'm not going to get in here because that's a long conversation of exactly why I think that. And I have blogs on it. But anyways, my point is, he shared my speculation is what I'm trying to show you there. I mean, once again, I've told you, I try to create reason speculations. And they have to be reasons if an archaeologist shares them.
Yeah.
Just saying. Right. So, and then it shows John Hoops thing. And this is what Graham Hancock, Graham Hancock called John Hoops a keyboard warrior.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And said he's the most vehement and insulting of all archaeologists and is overdue for his comeuppance. Whatever. So, but just so you can grasp who is sharing my stuff and supporting what I do and saying Damien uses critical thinking approach.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. So also I'm addressing another critical thinking. if I make speculations, as supposedly what Graham Hancock thinks he's doing, which not, that's the whole point of this video in a sense, critical thinking. He's not doing that.
Yeah.
He's not doing a speculation like I do. He's doing a speculation, but speculations are just one category of thinking.
Right.
There's all kinds of things. In other words, like if I said thinking, does that mean it's all good? Fuck no.
No.
You can have bad thinking. Hell
Yeah.
yes. You can even misuse reason to do crime and harm people and lie to yourself and all kind of dumb shit. You know,
Yep.
like create pseudoscience so that you go, yeah, see, look at your, this is why I'm right and you're not.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm just saying, so I'm being supported by, or at least, you know, liked and shared by somebody who Graham Hancock thinks is actually the most terrible. So it shows actually he can't be the most terrible, because here I am making speculations, though reasoned ones, with evidence to support them.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
You know, the shit that Graham Hancock doesn't have is just evidence. He says speculations, but not like mine. Mine is I look at the evidence, and then when I start to see a pattern, I go check out the pattern. I don't make it a judgment yet. How do I know I'm missing? Make sure that pattern isn't somewhere else. Like we talked about how to, where I, you know, could find shamanism or whatever, how you think. You can't just because it looks like a pattern, just, okay, it's a pattern.
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, there has to be like real evidentiary connections for the
Right,
pattern.
and you
to
have
exist.
to, is it really still that? And then look at other things. It's like I said, and then also you should assume, is more people have it? Is it just this thing? Was it always this thing? Because like say, the Ket people now, right? They're Christian now, or they don't practice shamanism. They used to only.
Right.
Before the Russians. Then before the Russians, they were patriarchal, very sexist. Now they're not as patriarchal as the Russians. Well, I do think that's a good thing, actually. But
Right.
like, okay, that part is okay. But anyways, I mean, I'm saying they're changing. So I mean, that's all I was trying to say, is that you can't just look at something now and assume that it's always been that way.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
Well, that's right. So that's what I try to do, is, you know, Corey, I try to look into details and you know, and then I keep looking and you find all the different ways that it connects, instead of just found one way, I believe it, now it's it. No, fuck no. I'm like, okay, the language, oh, the pottery, oh, the art, oh, the mythology, oh, the DNA, oh, the housing structures, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Then you that's all I'm just saying is which I think is kind of a scientific sort of approach, that I just don't find one fact and go, okay, I'm done.
Right. Yeah. You're like, well, do the surrounding facts support this fact?
Right. Yeah. So like a lot of times, the reason I bring this up is a lot of times Graham Hancock lovers, I don't know what they're called because I don't care, but
yeah.
Anyways, because I'm sure they're called something, you know.
Because groups like that always name themselves.
Right. Like some kind of something, or other people name them, you know, whatever. My point is that these people generally say to archaeologists, you don't listen to Graham Hancock. You guys won't accept out of the box thinking. Literally, I thought out of the box think is fuck.
Right.
If the facts support it.
Yeah. Like, do you, by out of the box, does it have to be like out of nowhere with no support?
Yeah, that's not that. Well, yeah.
Then why would anybody support that, right? Like,
right. So, like, just in one sense. So, the standard thinking for archaeology may still be, I'm sure it's probably changing already, and I'm sure that I will change it more. Because not the archaeology in a sense, but the theory right. of how things are or were. Because I've really one piece by another piece by another piece by another, you know, I like build the freaking wall so they can, most people then look at it, especially archaeologists, and go, whoa, you know, that's a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Because I present it in a way, the facts, arrange them and show why this could have, you know, been the case. Unlike, and then here's the thing. And if they said I was wrong, I would not do the Graham Hancock thing. Well, archaeologists are fucked up.
Yeah. They just don't like me because I'm telling the truth that they think they need to keep hidden.
And I would say, what is wrong? And then when they said it, I would go investigate immediately.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, archaeologists told me that they don't believe that shamanism happened until 4,000.
Okay.
Right? And that somehow it passed all over the world and just 4,000 and down, whatever. And even though I feel that's absolutely wrong, especially all the stuff that I've been researching for fucking since 2006.
Right.
But unlike Graham Hancock, I said, I'm going to go look some more. So I've now done more research and I've made more blogs and more videos like we did on prehistory of, Siberia. I've done more stuff because I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Here's another thing too. Unlike Graham Hancock, right? So it's not just listening to information, it's checking it out. They want the archaeologists to check his claims, okay, of white people going to the Americas or whatever. There's no DNA, there's no pottery, it's fucking ludicrous. Everything can be shown to be related to mythology, as I already showed you, and then basically from wherever they went, people amazingly did it all themselves. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's almost like if you follow the evidence, it'll show you the real story of what's going on.
Yes, exactly. So, right. So I'm just saying is, and then immediately I don't ever have to listen to Graham Hancock again because I know that's not true. It's not ancient white people that settled America and made it have pyramids.
Yeah.
No.
They
look like the ones in Egypt. Yeah, and I understand why.
Yeah,
or
that's right.
What likely could be the case of reasoned speculation of why it's not aliens.
Are you sure it's not aliens?
I'm sure of it. And I know like all the cultures and how they interacted and what they did and why they did. Yeah, I learned all their religions and their languages and how they connect and the DNA, how it connects. Yeah, all the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Pseudoscience is easy. You just make shit up. But so then the next thing is as an archaeologist.
Right. Zhitenev Vladislav?
Yeah, from Russia, because I'm talking about Siberia and Russia. So he's, of course, going to look at my stuff because there's an interest in what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, so he liked the post on discussing ancient North Eurasian migrations, genetics, religion, and rape 25,000 years ago. And he is an archaeologist, PhD, Doctor of History, Lomonosov Moscow State University, and South Ural Archaeological Expedition.
Right. So if we just took all the information so far, at least 2 archaeologists have liked or shared my stuff.
Yeah.
Or believe in my thinking, right? Unlike the Graham Hancock, which they write whole articles on why he's wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So it's not like they just somehow like my personality.
Right.
I could have the greatest personality and them not like me if I was pushing pseudo-archaeology, but I don't do that. Yeah. And here's the thing too, even if I accidentally did and they told me, I would research it and I'd be willing to change. So
right.
That's like this one archaeologist, he was shocked and he even said thank you for how fast I changed my thinking. I had been thinking for like 6 months, so I started gathering ideas and looking and thinking. Because I know 8,000 years ago or 8,200, the climate like drops in temperature real fast for like 300 years and then it's like a cycle. But anyways, that caused probably the rise of authoritarianism.
Okay.
In a sense, which we're going to also do a video on that. So after this video, then I want to do the Graham Hancock videos.
Right.
We also addressed him. Then I want to do the one about the Kurgan migrations because we're going to deal with mounds. This is where I think all of that started.
Okay.
8,000 years ago when the climate event, it made Siberia different. And all the Siberians went to Europe and went down south and to Egypt and Mesopotamia because of the climate.
Right.
Climate change caused issues.
They had to move away because something changed.
Well, it's the first time they built fortifications. They're hunter-gatherers. They built fortifications 8,500 years ago. It's also why I told you before, I think maybe 8,500 years ago is the rise of power and authority in a real way. 7,000, 5,000, it becomes a monstrous. But I mean, the origin, this is the Western Siberia to me, is the origin of this nonsense. And that's where they have the oldest forts in the world. 8,500 years ago, and they were warring clans. And those male clans, which we've talked about fucking all kinds of times, they took over. But this is where it came from. This is the whole thing. And then the DNA of those people goes, in a sense, down to Samara culture, which 7,000, which is the earliest pre-Kurgans, like in Russia. And those people also started doing horse burials and stuff. And that later, kings and horse burials are like totally connected. Just so you know. In fact, they probably had sex with the horse and then killed it. Everybody ate it, and then they buried the bones or whatever. But anyways, sacrifice stuff. But I mean, to be a king, like to be a king, like, you know, the Christendom era, we know kings is a touch, you know, on the head from a priest, and now you're knightly king or whatever. And same with king can knight people. Or no. That is not how it used to be. What it starts off with, which I think is the Samara culture 7,000 years ago, and they do the first pre-Kurgan, and then 6,000 years they're in the Cossack Mountains, and they go down to both Mesopotamia and to Egypt. And also Mesopotamia and Egypt, as I already told you before in the videos, you know, were interacting. So when people think like these ideas are all separated, and, you know, no, the fuck they were not. But anyway, so we're going to do a thing on tribalism, totemism, tribalism, clan, and power. And then it says the rise of state. In other words, we're going to explain, because it goes band, tribe, chieftain, state. And we're going to have a video explain so we can, you know, address, especially as anarchists, I think this is interesting to me at least.
Right.
Like, how did we get to where it is now? And the same thing, the first video with 8,000, you know, we're going to talk about forts and about how that they made like these new sacrificial mounds or whatever, stratified mounds. Well, then right after that, they're making kurgans at 7,000. So 8,000, you know, they started sort of, and then 7,000, they're making kurgans. Kurgans is a burial mound, just, you know, I mean, it's a fancy name, whatever, but it's a tumulus, what they call it, where but anyways, and then a dolmen, in a sense, is just a kurgan generally is like a wood little structure, and then you bury someone in it. And it could also be stones instead, but generally it's wood. A kurgan is wood. Dolmen is stones, and then the dirt. So it's still a stone house, sort of. Except it's not all enclosed or anything. But anyway, so all these, and actually that eventually inspires later the pyramids and everything. But also because, as I already told you before, because so before we dealt with like the mythology of why they're doing it, Earth Diver myth or whatever, and mound of creation and all this, you know, whatever, the mountain of God, same, you know, whatever nonsense. But then the other video we're going to do is going to be more on the archaeology and the structures and how they're all related and how things. So when we did the mythology is related, you know, like I had to try to prove things, you know, multiple ways.
Yeah.
Now so that way also to me, when we go to the Americas, I think all that is related to all that.
Interesting.
So I felt it's important to learn that first. But I wanted to deal with, you know, if I wanted to deal with like this video, you know, how you think, and then attack Graham Hancock head on, especially because he relates to the Americas, and then to do what I think sort of the Americas is, and then, you know, or why Siberia stuff relates to, I think, you know, what happened in America. See, because here's another thing too: all the mound cultures are chieftains.
Okay.
Do you wonder if there's something connected to that, Corey? Yes, there is. Right. So it's important. I'm just saying, so you start to realize now correlation doesn't always mean causation. It doesn't mean that they had to have gone together, but I do think they went together.
Right.
Just like I said, So South America, 90% of South America relates to the Canada Tlingit.
Right. So somehow
So and the
yeah.
so and remember the Tlingit, they have slavery,
Right.
hereditary slavery, which but some people go, oh, but they treated them better. Yeah, and they could also kill them at potlatches just to prove how important the leader was.
Right.
Yeah, and slaves. It just that you don't have to even go to the killing and all that. Just
Right. It's still not good. You can
no.
make all kinds of statements about how it was better than what
Yeah.
whatever, but still slavery. Still not good.
And hereditary. So the same thing. Like their children are born, they are also slaves. What? Oh,
Right.
oh, heck.
Yeah.
The whole thing of that is no, and then extra no. But anyway, so I think it's important. Let's go back to the blog. I was just saying that it's important, like why all these things I'm trying to show all the time. I know it feels boring. I saw tons of facts and whatever to some people, but I'm trying to get to like the anarchism, how this power started and how the whole thing, like Marx, says, oh, it's this, and different people have theorized. I'm trying to show how it happened in a more like detailed, accurate way of what really happened, so you can make better judgments.
Yep. So underneath
this is me talking. You can go ahead and read it, but you can just read. You can say Damien gets or whatever you want, or whatever.
Yeah. Underneath this,
the
archaeologist image.
Correct.
It says Damien gets likes and shares, even some support and promotion from archaeologists or anthropologists, even though he's neither an academic nor a historian, archaeologist, or anthropologist. Damien is self-trained, starting in 2006 when he became an atheist in college at 35. Archaeologists or anthropologists also like him, even though he expresses his speculation on prehistory, including archaeology and anthropology. The reason why is he has good reasoned speculations and heavily supports them with lots of valid evidence from several different sources on average, as he values the truth.
And what would you say to that?
I think that's I mean, I know you value the truth. I know that you really try hard to have as much evidence as you can before you even make speculations. So
correct. And which is why, like I said, then archaeologists don't see it as like just wild speculation. They say critical thinking.
Yeah, that's right. So who do you think you are, Damien?
Right. That's what I always think, because the reason I bring that up is because they go, well, I don't have a degree. I have a psychology bachelor's. I don't have a degree in archaeology or whatever. I did do some sociology, but that's still not anthropology and so or history, So that's why but to me, it's a logical fallacy. You should care that I say the truth or that I have evidence that's supported, not do I have a degree of how I got to understand that evidence.
Yeah, that's an appeal to authority of type, right?
Like, that's a fallacy. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read this as it's written. Okay. So this is from Damien's voice. I did not turn atheist until I was 35. And around that time, I realized that not just my religious beliefs were a lie, but my morality was wrong as well. And a thinking change occurred in me to where I went from a strong rightist to a strong far leftist anarchist socialist. I see how the truth can set some free, and I try to help others do the same, choosing evidence and reason to guide them. I like to offer my ideas on prehistory and think outside the box often, but I want to be very clear. In general, I support mainstream archaeology, anthropology, and historical thinking, and stand by archaeologists, anthropologists, and historians, appreciating all their hard work. I am not an academic. I am a revolutionary who teaches in public, in places like social media and in the streets. I'm not a leader by some title given, but from my commanding leadership style of simply to start teaching everywhere to everyone, all manner of positive education. I strive to address fake history, pseudo-archaeology, pseudo-history, and pseudoscience, and its supporters, as well as try to teach real history. I also make speculations on history from how I see the evidence relating. I strive to be right in my thinking and actions, but understand as an agreeer to some of fallibilism's thinking that I now know I can be wrong and am thus rationally open to changing my thinking on valid and reliable reason and evidence. It is my welcoming correction that distills my thinking to the purity available to reach reason. Here is the form. Oh, I think that, I mean, I like that. because it yeah, like you say, like it's good to be a teacher, but also be open to correction if you're, wrong.
Right. Which I think is healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Which I think Sam Harris and Armin have just totally forgot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Off the deep end. Like they shouldn't even be allowed to say they're critical thinkers.
Right. Yeah.
You've lost that privilege. Dawkins. No, sorry.
Yeah.
You've
Sorry.
lost that privilege. Yeah.
Yeah. You no longer get to claim that title.
That's why people are like, oh, do you miss being around all the atheist stuff? It's like some of it, yeah. Other stuff, no.
Yeah.
I don't miss the capitalism. I don't miss the right, intermingled in people I talk to. Because I've been to a couple atheist conventions and stuff like that. And I have people there, like one fucking dickhead. He's like, yeah, I'm an atheist and I don't support gay rights. And I'm like, yeah, I'm done talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm saying, do I miss those conversations? Fuck no.
No.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh, hell no.
Not interested in talking to that guy.
So, I mean, do I miss that? I mean, we connect on atheism maybe, but on yeah. Did they apply logic to life? Obviously not.
I find like there used to be somebody that I followed who said like, so okay, we agree on the answer to this one question. How does that make us socially cohesive in any other way? Like it doesn't.
Well, I don't, and I try to be open to all kinds of people.
Yeah.
But if you are not a humane and somewhat decent person, I'm done.
Yeah, that's right.
I especially now in my life, I don't have time for that shit.
No.
It's just no.
I was talking to Justin yesterday, and after our recording, and he said, like, you reach a point at your life where you see that there's fewer days ahead than there are behind, and at that point, you start to become less willing to give your time away for nothing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'm done talking to fucking fools.
Yeah, like.
But just like so. An archaeologist went against Graham Hancock, right? Or I didn't even watch it because it does. I know Graham Hancock's wrong.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not saying I'll never watch it. I'm just saying it's not a priority. What's he get? I could kick the dude's ass with. We're going to.
That was on Joe Rogan, right? Yeah.
But I will not go on Joe Rogan.
I don't like him.
I won't go in a fucking scumbags thing, or to let scumbags on there to Nazis and fucking racist and sexist and homophobic, transphobic. No, no. I told you, even like I say, some people who would like to challenge me, I may come on, have someone come on. Not everybody.
Right, yeah.
Not everyone. Some fucking racist, Nazi fucking Klansman. He's never coming on the show.
Yeah. No, that's right.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just making a point. I agree with you that no. So someone would say, "Well, Damien, you'll be more famous. You go on Joe Rogan." I'd be more famous as I was a racist.
Yeah, that's right.
Inspire me to go be a racist. You know what? If I only thought of myself and I became an uber capitalist, I could probably make money as a sociopath without morals and problems. I could do whatever I need to do. Fuck, I go kill someone, wouldn't tell nobody, and could just fucking live in their house or whatever. I could do all kinds of fucked up shit. I'm not saying I'm going to do that crap. I'm just making the comment The ability to do something should not be the reason that you are, doing
personal gain or what have you is
Yeah.
not necessarily the reason to do it.
Yeah, could I be more famous going on Joe Rogan? Absolutely. Am I going to do that? Never.
No.
Like I said, Graham Hancock, because I don't see him as a full-on racist. Of course, he might be, but his stuff is used by racists.
Right. Yeah. It almost doesn't matter, right? Because
but I'm just saying is I would bring him on. He could come on our show and talk. But if he was like some students who out Nazi, they're not coming on the show. You see the difference?
Right.
Or someone's out racist? No, he's saying, "Oh, I'm not." Okay, come on here But I wouldn't go on Joe Rogan because, anyways. But I think it's okay that an archaeologist does it. In fact, I told you, I like John Hoops because I felt like archaeologists are not fighting back.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? These fucking assholes are lying, and you're okay with this?
Yeah.
So I felt happy when they fight back. Although, like I said, me personally, I wouldn't go on Joe Rogan. But
yeah, it reminds me of like back when I was in the skeptic movement. Like a lot of scientists wouldn't dig in, like they wouldn't spend their time debunking things or like arguing against pseudoscience or what have you. And you go, well, why not? And it's just not their thing. But then you get the ones that do, and you really appreciate the effort they're putting in because they're out there fighting against, misinformation.
Right. And even if someone goes, well, who cares about archaeology? It doesn't matter. It's all in the past. It's just people's opinion, which is also stupid. But
Not.
But my point would be what that stuff does, that pseudo archaeology that Graham Hancock does. Like I said, one is promoting racism.
Yeah.
And then two, it's also stealing, in a sense, the justified histories of the indigenous people, which is an extra fucked up thing. So beyond the one, there's the other.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he is creating a thing that makes people not trust science, like I told you. And that's when I said, oh no. Just like Armin, her one stupid thing, not a big deal. But he keeps this repetitive, ridiculous, and he's associated with any way with me as an atheist. Oh, fuck, we're going to address that crap.
Yeah, it's a pattern.
Yeah, and it's a bad one.
Yeah.
So that's all I wanted to show. But like I said, my point was actually not even to burn him up. It was really to show critical thinking, lack of critical thinking. And do you see how the difference that I am doing under Graham Hancock, we're both non-archaeologists really talking a lot about archaeology.
Yeah.
But for some reason, he's hated and I'm not. Must be critical thinking.
Yeah. No, it's because archaeology is, I don't know, what's the conspiracy theory? They just hate him because he's telling the truth.
Well, they're hiding it for some, I don't know. Or they says, they won't spend the money because colleges do this and that. But as we already said, CRM, I think, whatever, there's archaeologists that are not connected to colleges. So and they're like gig workers. How are they actually part of the conspiracy?
Yeah.
Ever seen gig workers? Not happy people. Working ass off and fearful of their next dollar,
Definitely, usually willing to talk shit about the company that hires them because they're not getting paid properly.
Yeah, they certainly aren't part of the cabal.
No, that's right.
And since that's actually a large portion of archaeologists,
right?
They're not distinctly working at colleges, that are sending them to foreign places and paying for years of unending work.
And that doesn't, none of this
that even would be bad. I'm just making a comment.
None of this is saying that like they don't make mistakes and like that they don't have to amend things and like
they
do it all the time.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And they should rethink. Sometimes things that people thought before are now realized wrong. Like before, like this year, right? They found that fortress, or several fortresses, actually, not just one. I think it was like 8 or something. So like once again, a pattern.
Right.
Not a one-off, a pattern. But anyways, they just recently found that, and that changes their thinking, because they thought that kind of stuff happened because of agriculture.
Oh,
But
okay.
here it was happening with hunter-gatherers.
Right.
Anyway, so they had to
Interesting.
change thinking a little bit. And that only fits better into what I already thought.
Right.
Like, cool. That helps. Thank you.
Yeah.
Been wondering I thought 8,500 years ago, because I know that's when the first time the stone mace becomes copper. And it was
Okay.
copper that they poured into a mold
Interesting.
to make a hole in the middle so they could put a thing, the mace head. And I knew that had to do with power. And I know eventually that all kings have maces. It's a big deal. It's like scepters, they call them now, wherever, it's a something, it's like a mace head or whatever. But they used to crack people's head. In fact, 8,000 or 8,000 years ago or something, in Çatalhöyük, which was thought to be relatively egalitarian, but see, after the 8,000 event, they did start starving, and you could see they were eating as well, and there becomes maybe a leader or maybe someone from Siberia or somewhere else came in, or ideas did, and then this person decides to lead and tries to be, and then so they start cracking people in the heads, and there's like, I don't want to say, because I was say 30 people, but I don't remember now. Or maybe it's 78 wounds or 80 wounds, and it's only a few mountain people. Like, I think it was like, I can't remember, but there's a couple, like out of the group, there's a couple in the group that got multiple whacks. Probably whacked, healed, whacked, healed, whacked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they've got like a fracture that heals. Correct. And then okay,
like 5 times or something in their head. Like, I think 3 or 4 people. I can't remember the whole details, but it's something like that. But I was already thinking that new stuff was happening because of the climate change,
right?
And so it wasn't religious. So, because this is why I bring this up. A lot of atheists, even some people probably totally believe this, is that religion happened because of people's love of power.
Right.
That's inaccurate.
Yeah.
We're gonna, like I said, in 2 videos, we're gonna address, and then the third one, the actual power structures themselves. We're gonna address that it's wrong, and this is what's right.
Yeah, it's interesting because what you actually have to do before you can make a claim like that is you have to examine like what caused power structures to develop.
Exactly. And I would say that climate definitely seems to, it's right around the same time, but it happens. But the stuff, though, it doesn't fit perfectly. I think it got worse.
Okay.
Because like I said, if 8,500, that is 300 years prior to the climate event.
Ah, okay.
So you can't say, can you get my point? You can't say that the power structures are 100% because of the climate event. I think that motivated them to become bigger and then branch out.
And like I think, if I recall correctly, you've already established that like a variety of religious beliefs, like of whatever brand, shamanism, totemism, existed before that, right?
Oh yes, definitely.
So
yeah, shamanism, totemism, even paganism. Paganism to me is 13,000 years ago.
Okay.
13,000 years ago, Göbekli Tepe's area was already being used religiously. Then later they put up in 11,000, 12,000 or whatever, they put up pillars. And then then by 10,000 they built more of them. And then I think it's at 9,000 or maybe I don't remember, but then they stopped. But anyways, there's actually more structures they haven't uncovered, but they know that people were already doing stuff sacred on that mountain,
right,
13,000 years ago or so. So, anyways, but like I told you, shamanism is what it was. It was shamanism, but now they're getting to gods. And I told you before, I think because of agriculture, I think they already started caring about crops, 20,000 years ago, when they started the first sort of proto crops, they in Israel, North Israel, they had bird figurines.
Okay.
And then later with 3 legs, right? And then later in China, by the way, there's a 3-legged crow, which is the sun. And the 3 is the morning, the noon, and the evening, which I told you they thought was 3 different deities.
Right.
But anyway, so I was just saying, so you already see that's happening at 20,000 years ago. And I think that is like a deity, sort of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the sun, but it's representing of a bird. So that's why when people say the sun, that one guy, you know, it's kind of accurate, you know, but it's related to the bird.
Ah.
and it's like and it's related to, you know, in a sense, the sun, but not like sun worship. Anyways, more like animism, you know, thinking, you know, about magical things or whatever.
Right.
But anyways, I don't want to get into all that. Let's go back to the thing. So,
Sure.
so I can be wrong. We already said it, right, about fallibilism, and
Yes.
so I wanted you to go ahead and read fallibilism, because I think also science is doing this. Go ahead and read it.
So here is the form of fallibilism I am thinking. The claim that all assertions are provisional and thus open to revision in light of new evidence, which is widely taken for granted in the natural sciences.
Ta-da! I know Damien's so extreme.
Yeah. Willing to change your mind in light of new evidence.
Yeah. Which also Graham Hancock does not do.
Right.
Because he's presented evidence and he goes, okay, science is wrong. I think they're hiding stuff. What the? No, what? We just showed you you're wrong. Anyways,
Yeah.
ridiculous. So then go ahead and then read.
Okay. I post lots of religious info, but don't believe in any religion or spiritual beliefs. I am an atheist, anti-theist, and anti-religionist. However, I am also a self-taught prehistorian, trying to explain the evolution of religion, which requires me to fully understand the connections of religious or spiritual beliefs to allow others to rethink the belief in them, to expose the evolution of religion and thus understand its humanness, not just from reason, but due to understanding all the facts of archaeology, anthropology, and religious mythology. It is to bring about awareness to inspire others to atheism, or at least a new understanding of religion, removing its believed special status when religion or spiritual beliefs are, to me, just culture or sociocultural products, like language. I don't believe in gods or ghosts, and nor souls either. I don't believe in heavens or hells, nor any supernatural anything. I don't believe in aliens, Bigfoot, nor Atlantis. I strive to follow reason and be a rationalist. Reason is my only master, and we may we all master reason. Sociocultural factors characterize social and cultural forces that influence the feelings, attitudes, values, thoughts, beliefs, interactions, and behaviors of related individuals and groups. Some examples include income and wealth distribution, social classes, attitudes towards education and work, language, customs and taboos, business and health practices, housing, religious beliefs, population size and housing, social mobility, and age distribution and social values. We are like believing machines. We vacuum up ideas like Velcro sticks to almost everything. We accumulate beliefs that we allow to negatively influence our lives, often without realizing it. Our willingness must be to alter skewed beliefs that impede our balance or reason, which brings about a new, caring awareness. I don't believe in the supernatural notion of a soul, especially with our natural-only evolution. Undesigned natural processes of evolution made us believing machines. I am not an animist, thus I don't believe in souls or spirits. How can I? When in our natural-only evolution was there added magical anything? I can't buy anything but natural, thus I can be labeled a metaphysical naturalist, also called ontological naturalist, philosophical naturalist, and anti-supernaturalist, which is a philosophical worldview that holds that there is nothing but natural elements, principles, and relations of the kind studied by the natural sciences. I'm not an academic, though I work hard for accuracy and facts. I do this hard work for addressing prehistory and religion as activism, pro-science, and atheist. I know quite a lot as I started researching the evolution of religion starting in 2006.
Right. Let's skip some of this stuff and
Okay.
let's go down to which says maybe a free thinker. You see that? It says critical thinking. It's past the picture. I say some.
Okay.
Some
yep.
say science are better than philosophy.
Okay. So
We've
maybe a
already
free
kind
thinker?
of addressed that, anyways.
Right.
So I just want to
Okay.
address critical thinking real quick.
Sure. So maybe a free thinker, but not a critical one. High conspiracy belief is associated with low critical thinking ability.
So do you get why then it's really a compliment for John to say that what I do is critical thinking? Because that literally is why people that don't have that, as we already addressed, like Armin's foolishness,
Yeah.
end up with conspiracy theories, like Graham Hancock stuff, or people that support him.
Yeah.
Low critical thinking. So go ahead and read critical thinking.
Critical thinking is of paramount importance in our society. People regularly assume that critical thinking is a way to reduce conspiracy belief, although the relationship between critical thinking and conspiracy belief has never been tested. We conducted 2 studies. Study 1, n equals 86. Study 2, the n equals 252, in which we found that critical thinking ability measured by an open-ended test emphasizing several areas of critical thinking ability in the context of argumentation is negatively associated with belief in conspiracy theories. Additionally, we did not find a significant relationship between self-reported or subjective critical thinking ability and conspiracy belief. Our results support the idea that conspiracy believers have a less developed critical thinking ability and stimulate discussion about the possibility of reducing conspiracy beliefs via the development of critical thinking.
Oh, so how should we address it? Let's say that the last part is the greatest, right? How
Right.
we fight it is not just really with facts, Corey. It's with helping them, like I said, I do, or I try to do, is
Yeah.
help them in part. So the goal is to help them with reason.
Development of critical thinking.
Right. So right, which is to me, reason and critical thinking is the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so the fact that these other people are not doing critical thinking, when I see that, like I said, I can choose a value wise that the value is to belittle them and whatever, like some people like to do, or to teach, and that's what I usually try to do.
I'm fully guilty of both. It just depends on how I approach things that day.
Well, it depends on what someone says to me and how I feel. Yes, that I mean, how I feel it does affect. But I'm saying that I start with the what's value. I know that doesn't mean you do that, but I'm just saying that's what I do. What I do, especially it's real important since, like I said, I have a mental illness of being a sociopath. I have a tendency to not really think of others.
Mm-hmm,
So if I don't think about being ethical, well, then being unethical would be pretty natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and so also I like to say that what I am a lot, because not just because the stigma of it's horseshit, but also because I want people to realize that it's no excuse to not be ethical.
That's right.
If I can fucking do it, and it is not in my nature, you sure as fuck can.
Yeah.
No excuse. So it's a fucking choice. And so I'm just saying I think I want my actions to be value centered. That what they do is of value. In other words, like if someone said, something makes someone a hero, that's the kind of actions that are good, they would think, of what they think.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that I try to put myself that I want to be a value thinker. It's not about trying to be nice to people or not nice to them. It's that a valued person is nice.
Well, yeah, it's like you say, like if what is the result that's going
Yeah.
to come from what you're doing?
That's
Like-
called consequentialism in
Right.
ethics, which
So
axiology is somewhat consequential, but it's also humanitarian, like care ethics, and
Right.
the fact that it looks at the value of the person and goes, no, you can't, no, there's no half measures. Nope. It's human rights. Let's do half. No.
right.
I'm just making a comment that, so that's not just about the consequence. It's thinking
Right.
about what is the thing itself, that the thing itself like has human rights, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's not the end result, because just like what's happened in all of society and racism and shit is you say those aren't people.
Right.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, and we see the weaponization of that all over, right? Like we see that right now in Palestine. We see that, in the situation in Russia and Ukraine. We saw that, in Myanmar with, the genocide that happened there. We see that Rwanda in 1994. Like this is how people do awful acts.
But just think if we were ethical. Even if no, like this will go to talk a bit about you look at the value that's going on, like interacting, like there's names of people, but there's values going on,
right?
Like so, regardless of if Russia is right to attack or not, the harming of children is not okay.
Yeah,
see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
See how that works? The value you could. It does. All this doesn't matter. This is always this.
Yeah.
Its value status is this.
And
so no matter if they're right or wrong, doesn't even if children are being harmed, that is always wrong.
Yeah. And I think that people who wish to do harm use the rhetoric, the dehumanizing of other people to justify harming. Committing acts like harming of children.
That sometimes with pseudoarchaeology, pseudoscience, pseudohistory,
which goes back to the bad critical thinking,
right? And so you get what I'm trying to say. So there's critical thinking, academic research. We're not going to read all that because I do want you to read though. This is the thing from the Critical Thinking Foundation, and this is on critical thinking. And I just wanted to show it's very long. And it does not even one time mention skepticism. And the only reason I say this, not because I kind of harp on skepticism, it's just skeptics have said to me, in the atheist movement, so those kind of skeptics, but those skeptics have said to me, well, Damien, I use critical thinking because I'm a skeptic. And I said, well, but critical thinking doesn't claim you. You are claiming critical thinking. That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
But it's actually not. And they say, oh, no, critical thinking is skepticism. I said, critical thinking does not involve skepticism.
Skepticism
may be a conclusion.
Yeah.
I need to apply skepticism.
Yeah.
But the process that started that to get to the I need to do this was not skepticism. Anyways, but I just... And so the only reason that's all I'm saying is it's not being biased. Here's the Critical Thinking Foundation of the world, humongous thing, do all kinds of research and stuff, all about critical thinking.
Yeah.
Every college has to take this shit in America, or at least put it this way. Certainly I know for that relates to mental health and counseling or psychology, because I did. But so I'm just saying that it's no bias. This is
right
what it says. So go ahead and read it, that whole thing, because it is good.
Sure. So it says critical thinking from the Foundation for Critical Thinking. So critical thinking is a rich concept that has been developing through the past 2,500 years. The term critical thinking has its roots in the mid-late 20th century. Below, we offer overlapping definitions, which together form a substantive and transdisciplinary conception of critical thinking. Critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and/or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication, as a guide to belief and action. In its exemplary form, it is based on universal intellectual values that transcend subject matter divisions, clarity, accuracy, precision, consistency, relevance, sound evidence, good reasons, depth, breadth, and fairness. Critical thinking entails the examination of those structures or elements of thought implicit in all reasoning. Purpose, problem, or question at issue, assumptions, concepts, empirical grounding, reasoning leading to conclusions, implications, and consequences, objections from alternative viewpoints, and frame of reference. Critical thinking, in being responsive to variable subject matter, issues, and purposes, is incorporated in a family of interwoven modes of thinking, among them scientific thinking, mathematical thinking, historical thinking, anthropological thinking, economic thinking, moral thinking, and philosophical thinking. Critical thinking.
See, though, it's funny they haven't listed skepticism yet.
Well, too often, and I mean, it's a little bit of an aside, but too often, people who call themselves skeptics get stuck on just the scientific thinking, and they refuse to acknowledge anything like anthropological, economic, philosophical.
Yes. Oh, they used to hate that I would always talk philosophy.
Right.
And I would always show them why even the argument they were making was trying to use philosophy as a motivational tool to make me change my thinking.
Yeah. You have to have philosophical thinking in there.
Thank you for explaining in detail so I can use it against you why that was absolutely wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So critical thinking can be seen as having two components. One, a set of information and belief generating and processing skills. And two, the habit based on intellectual commitment of using those skills to guide behavior. It is thus to be contrasted with, one, the mere acquisition and retention of information alone, because it involves a particular way in which information is sought and treated. And two, the mere possession of a set of skills, because it involves the continual use of them. And three, the mere use of those skills without acceptance of their results.
Right, the acceptance of results. That's a big one.
Yeah, no kidding.
You see that what you thought, like I told you, and here's the thing too, it could change in the future, and then it would still be, But I told you, Millet, they said, and it still is. Wikipedia still says it, but now because I've brought that to archaeologists' attention that those two facts can't be. Well, because the reason I say this because they used to thought they had evidence, and who knows, maybe in the future someone will prove different, but thought that they had evidence of millet at 7,000 years ago in areas where all this really violent stuff started. Like I've been talking about.
Right.
So I thought, look, perfect, and they're from North Asia, even better. Right. Anyways. It went with my thinking. So my thinking, everything still was pointing to that stuff, and it even coming from that place, but it wasn't millet. So but so I changed. Well, once I can't keep saying that because they said that they don't think it happened until 4,000. Well, then that can't see us in doing anything at 7,000. Right. That's a bigger deal. So anyway, so the facts change, and I have to change the facts. So that's the other thing is once you're presented, that you don't just go, I'm not going to accept that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One of the keys is you have to change.
Right. And so like with Graham Hancock, when he believed that pyramid was Gunung Padang was 20,000 years old, and a person did a dig, and we talked about this already, into the dirt, and got 20,000-year-old dirt. Right. And so, and so then, but in Prost, and it went in an some sort of science article or something. And then, I don't know if it was a month or two later, here comes the retraction. No.
Yeah.
There's no evidence of cultural anything. It's just dirt. I mean.
Right.
Who gives a shit if dirt? And
dirt can be old.
Well, I know shit. Well, they mean like it was moved into that spot. Well, isn't this sort of like a volcanic area and all this? You know, couldn't wind or something else. How do you know what moves the dirt? Couldn't
So
an
there's
animal
alternative
digging a
explanations.
hole- right? You're already making it. They're the builders of the pyramid.
Right. Yeah.
Because you don't even find human. How do you? It just animals could. The dirt moved. It could have been gophers.
Sure.
Right. All I'm saying is, saying 20,000 years ago the dirt moved. It doesn't really.
Yeah. It's hard to draw conclusions about that are sound.
Go,
Yeah.
okay, is it volcanic area? Yes. Like, well, what the fuck? You ever seen a volcano? They move a lot of shit around.
Yep.
And isn't there hurricanes? Okay, hurricanes move a lot of shit around. Isn't there sometimes floods? Floods move shit around. Isn't there animals? To think it has to be the pyramid builders, just ludicrous.
Yeah.
But he won't. Graham Hancock presented this. Oh, no, I'm still
right. Officially, the paper was retracted, but for Graham Hancock, he cannot accept that he may be wrong. So,
yeah, he doesn't accept. Not even because another thing too is like about pseudoscience. So I'll look at a thing, right? Let's say a Kurgan mountain, and it says it's 7,000 years old. I write 7,000.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at the Kurgan mountain, it says 7,000 years old, and he goes, maybe it's 22.
Well, how did you read it?
Right, you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's pseudoarchaeology. You just made up fake bullshit. That's fuck bullshit. And then go, well, it could be. No, it's 7,000. What the fuck? So
it could be.
You know,
yeah, you can say that about whatever you want, I guess.
Well, but see, is that evidence, Corey?
No,
see,
that is
see,
not.
that it is. Well, I'm just being skeptical, Corey. And I'm not saying that he actually is. That's actually denialism. It's not skepticism. It's, just because I said I don't use skepticism doesn't mean I think it's something wrong with it.
Right.
Denialism, there is something wrong with it.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, extreme skepticism. People that said they think reality isn't real stuff, then or whatever.
Yeah, solipsism and that shit.
No, that's not good skepticism to me.
No, that's right.
Yeah, no. But anyway, so there's more, right? But let's skip it to go on to more stuff. But the whole point that I'm trying to get you to see is how it's a type of thinking and it's a type of skills, and it's really important. So the next thing, the picture is about validity and reliability.
Yeah.
And it often people think about them as being separate.
Right.
Can you go ahead and read that?
Sure. So reliability and validity, we often think of reliability and validity as separate ideas, but in fact, they're related to each other and usefully interact with each other, allowing for increased levels of certainty. Here, I show you new ways you can think about the relationship with target metaphors for the relationship between reliability and validity. Think of the center of the target as the concept or concern that you are trying to measure. Imagine that for each thing you are measuring, you take a shot at the target. If you measure the concept perfectly for what it is or does, you are hitting the center of the target. If you don't, you are missing the center. The more you are off what it is or what it does, the further you are from the center, as well as from accuracy, precision, or certainty, and closer to inaccuracy, error, or uncertainty in measurements. Accuracy, precision, or certainty is the closeness of agreement between the measured value and the true value, and the true value in practice is usually an accepted reference to how value is used.
Right, and then often, like say in archaeology, that you don't know what the middle is, in a sense. So when they say predictive, remember, like so they find like me, right? I've been looking into the mounds and all that for freaking years. I now because of this new info, now I'm getting it.
Right. Now you have a predictive model almost, right?
Like there we go.
Yeah.
Now that makes sense. Okay, I was starting to think. I knew this. It was my information was it was all looking like that. But this helps me understand more like how it could happen,
right?
And why and stuff. It puts it in better context. But so that's why. But see, so going back to like ideas. So could I have made a really strong speculation, at the beginning, like Graham Hancock? Well, it looks like all pyramids are connected. Like they're all similar. But
Right.
just because they look like it, that doesn't mean shit. You need to investigate how it happened, why, where. And so when I'm saying a lot of this stuff, starts in Western Siberia and then basically goes all over the world. All the pyramids, all the stuff relates to two concepts. One is this power, I think, because all the pyramids, all like kings and pharaohs.
Right.
And,
they all have to do with power. Yeah.
so that's going back to
structures.
I'm trying to show the connection.
Right.
Elites. This is absolutely, you never see these mounds. It means elite culture.
Right.
It means male clans. It means this is all connected, and the religion is connected. All this stuff, but it's like a package of, in a sense, of groups of ideas. And so that's why I want to explain this. But at first, like I said, I'm hitting for a target, but I don't know where the center is.
Right. Right. So then you may have a grouping, like you say, like the target that shows like reliable but not valid. You may have a grouping that's way off center, but all points in the same spot.
Now
And
you're getting
like,
it. I go, oh, I figured it out. That's the center. And that's not
right.
really the center.
But that's not the center.
Well, like I said, I used to think the center was more what the other culture or Lake Baikal. But now I see, no, they went from Lake Baikal through the Ket area, which is the Yensen, which is the people that were very patriarchal, and they're like the original people 24,000 years. So they've been there. These are the original. They went to the Americas. Anyways. And they become all the Europeans, all the white people. It's one culture. Well, they're related to them. They're not the actual ones. There's another group. But anyways, they're all like related over there. And then they go through there. They're in Lake Baikal, and they go through there with pottery. And they show up in the area with the forts that has the same area where the pottery's in. So there's a close connection. And then the pottery goes over to the other culture that starts burying the horses, which is a king thing. So 7,000 and down. And then they went down. Boom. Kings there. Then they went down further. Kings there. So everywhere they went, kings.
Right.
Or pharaoh, just they
some kind of,
yeah, priest, kings, whatever. I'm just saying, you can see the power was north, and it goes down culture. Bam, these ones get it. Boom, these ones get it. That's how the Sumerians got it from they originally comes from Siberia. But I didn't have all the details, so I couldn't figure out where the heck is the center.
Right.
Now I know the center is West Siberia. Now I know where the center is.
There you go.
I would have thought it was Lake Baikal, but they came from there, but it really got hot. Like, the powers, the violence, the everything, it happens in West Siberia.
Really okay.
So now I know where the center is. You get the same
right
in a sense. I'm just showing like this thing to grasp. So even like Graham Hancock, let's just say that one of his facts is a fact. That doesn't mean the grouping is in the center he's thinking it is.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Like he might be, like you say, reliable but not valid. Way over on the side, right?
There you go. See, and I'm just saying that people need to grasp that ideas, it's not just simple. Are they good? Are they good in relation to other ideas? Do they seem to form the pattern that actually gives you the correct circle, or are you seeing only a piece of it and you're misinterpreting it?
Yeah. You're claiming it as the center without, knowing for sure.
Right. And so I'm just trying to show why that's important and how you can, get it. And then I want you to read the scientific retraction.
Sure. Okay, so scientific retractions. More than 10,000 research papers were retracted in 2023, a new record. The number of articles being retracted rose sharply this year. Integrity experts say that this is only the tip of the iceberg. Articles may be retracted when their findings are no longer considered trustworthy due to scientific misconduct or error, they plagiarize previously published work, or they are found to violate ethical guidelines. Using a novel measure that we call the retraction index, we found that the frequency of retraction varies among journals and shows a strong correlation with the journal impact factor. Although retractions are relatively rare, The retraction process is essential for correcting the literature and maintaining trust in the scientific process. Are retractions becoming more frequent? Overall, manuscript retractions retraction appears to be recurring more frequently, although it is uncertain whether this is a result of increasing misconduct or simply increasing detection due to enhanced vigilance. Steen reviewed 742 retracted articles and found that the number of retracted articles has risen approximately tenfold over the past decade, with the greatest increase among those retracted due to misconduct. Although
Now
errors
pause for a second. That is scary.
Right, eh?
The greatest increase is due to what?
Misconduct.
Misconduct.
Yeah. So that means that the greatest increase of retractions is due to people submitting papers with fraudulent evidence,
yes,
or conclude, or they're making it
fraudulent. Up. Just tell it like it is. Inaccurate. Yeah. They should not be doing it. It is not good. So the point I'm saying is that's the scariest part. It's not even that they happen. Retractions actually make me happy.
Right. Yeah.
It's the reason, the misconduct. Ooh.
Yeah, because that implies that people are intentionally submitting false papers.
That sucks bad.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, that's.
But I still like there's retractions.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm glad they get caught.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they can figure out that it's misconduct. I think that, and then of course good science would then be open and explain that.
Yep, for sure. Although errors certainly account for the greatest proportion of retracted articles, Steen has argued that many retractions are a consequence of deliberate attempts by an author to deceive. Most scientists feel that research misconduct is uncommon. However, a meta-analysis of survey data reported that 2% of scientists report having committed serious research misconduct at least once, and 1/3 admit to having engaged in questionable research practices. Given the stigma associated with retractions and the challenges in detecting misconduct, it is likely that retractions represent only the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. Oof. I don't like that.
Right, but it's important to know that this is going on and that it's currently a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
And so this goes back to, like, sometimes Graham Hancock attacks the big archaeology or his fans,
right?
His Grahamites or whatever the hell they're called.
Grahamites, nice.
No, graham crackers.
Hancockers.
Oh, that's fucking funny. Hancockers. Oh shit. Oh. Anyway, enough of us acting like children. But anyways, so they attacked big archaeology. Supposedly, that's what they call it. What the fuck does that mean? Big archaeology. Like,
not really a thing, but okay.
Some kind of all archaeologists are working together or something, like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I thought you said they all work for different colleges.
Yeah.
So how can they work together? And don't they have their own college, interest in mind?
Yeah.
Supposedly, because you're saying it's all about money. Right. They make a couple thousand. Graham has $1 million. Who the fuck is doing it for the money?
Yeah, it's all about money in that they are all competing to have the best results because they all want grants. They all want to get rewarded those awards and grants and whatnot.
So. And I've talked to lots of archaeologists that are not real favorable of capitalism, especially through their own experiences as an archaeologist, working hard as fuck, learning tons of shit and not getting paid crap.
Yeah, because it's not commercially marketable or whatever, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where a singer can do one song and become a millionaire or billionaire, and archaeologists, worked, fucking 30 years, and they're lucky to have any good life savings.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm just saying that his thing is ludicrous. Oh, it's about the money. Money? You're the millionaire talking about other people that are making $100,000 or whatever in a year, and you're talking about those people are for money.
You're the millionaire with a Netflix special. John Hoops is over here grinding it out as a professor.
Exactly. Trying to fight on Twitter with trolls.
Selling books that are this thick that nobody buys.
Yeah, no one buys. And you pick it up, it's so heavy, you go, you could literally kill someone with this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it isn't about the money for the archaeologists, but
No, it's really crazy. Well, and also speaking of archaeologists, so he thinks that they're trying to sell books, right? John Hoops gets 0 from
Yeah.
his books.
yeah, it all goes to the university, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So Graham Hancock is wrong, and then even his slander is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. What a guy, eh?
Yeah, foolishness. So let's read the retraction of the Ganam Padang.
Sure. We got the retraction, geoarchaeological prospecting of Ganang Padang buried prehistoric pyramid in West Java, Indonesia. Danny Hillman, Yata Widija,
You don't
And
need to read
Nang-
all the names. Just
and Company,
Yeah.
Archaeological Prospection 2023. The above article, published online on 20th of October 2023 in Wiley Online, a library, has been retracted by agreement between the journal editors-in-chief, Eileen Irwin and Gregory Sulcus, and John Wiley and Sons. Following publication of this article, concerns were raised by third parties with expertise in geophysics, archaeology, and radiocarbon dating about the conclusions drawn by the authors based on the evidence reported. The publisher and the co-editors-in-chief have investigated these concerns and have concluded that the article contains a major error. This error, which was not identified during peer review, is that the radiocarbon dating was applied to soil samples that were not associated with any artifacts or features that could be reliably interpreted as anthropogenic or man-made. Therefore, the interpretation that the site is an ancient pyramid build 9,000 or more years ago is incorrect, and the article must be retracted. Danny Hillman, Nata Widija, responded on behalf of the authors, all of whom disagree with the retraction, and there's a reference link.
Yeah. Think of this. Right. So all the authors disagree with the retraction.
Mm-hmm.
What the? Those people, we should, now going back to skepticism. Now, you need to apply some skepticism to those people.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, without reading the whole thing, it's hard to know what their reasoning was and whatnot. But if in general, other experts in the field have said, well, no, you're wrong about this, your conclusion can't be correct if you're wrong about this fact, then yeah, you should be willing to retract that and be, willing to update your perspective.
Yeah. So the fact that they're not, as a rationalist, I would say it's time to apply some skepticism.
Yeah, that's right.
Those people and anything that they say from now on, I'm going to be skeptical of.
It seems dubious. Yeah.
Right. Because that's why in my little chart, skepticism is under experience.
Right.
Because experience shows me, wait a minute, I need to just approach this not trusting.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Right on. So, anyways, and also, like I said, Graham Hancock doesn't accept it either. So,
right.
And he probably, as a pseudoscientist, points to, oh, look, the authors didn't agree either. I'm still
for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because the authors don't accept the retraction. Graham Hancock says, oh, look, they were unjustly retracted. It was because it contradicted something, that they didn't, big archaeology didn't want found out.
Right. See, now you're going to talk like them. Big archaeology. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Quote unquote, big archaeology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's stuff on retractions. I'm not going to have you read that.
Okay.
But people should, if they want to read more. And there's pre and post peer review and pre-public peer review and post peer review, and social media also used is peer review.
I don't know if you follow them or not, but I get emails regularly from Retraction Watch, or at
No.
least I used to. I haven't been paying that. Like, so then they write about various retracted articles in Science and stuff.
That's
like,
good.
yeah, it's
That's real good.
Pretty good little outlet.
But I'm just saying, yeah, that's good. And I'm just showing right here, like, to explain information on retractions and stuff, and a peer reviewed, and how peer review is trusted. We're not going to read all about it, but then let's go to the picture. So it says, I value
good belief etiquette, reasoned belief acquisitions, good belief maintenance, and honest belief relinquishment.
Right, and relinquishment is letting go of stuff that doesn't match reason and evidence.
Yeah.
So, and then addressing pseudoarchaeology, right? Pseudojournalism, pseudoscholarship, pseudoscience. Go ahead and read the says science like logic.
Science, like logic, should follow truth, devoid of political or religious / non-religious beliefs or persuasions. To me, to do otherwise is to move away from science and thus risking falling into pseudoscience. Pseudoarchaeology is the interpretation of the past from outside the archaeological science community, which rejects the accepted data gathering and analytical methods of the discipline. Methods include exaggeration of evidence, dramatic or romanticized conclusions, use of fallacy, and fabrication of evidence. Pseudohistory is a form of pseudo-scholarship that attempts to distort or misrepresent the historical record, often by employing methods resembling those used in scholarly historical research. The related term cryptohistory is applied to pseudo-history derived from the superstitions intrinsic to occultism. Pseudohistory is related to pseudoscience and pseudoarchaeology, and usage of the terms may occasionally overlap.
Right, pseudohistory one is actually used a lot, but in stuff people don't think about, like, say, Korea has stuff that about the Hong Sang culture of North China. That's pseudoscience about their origins. I don't know all about it, but there is a connection to that. And so to it has to do like their superiority or their, or something.
Oh,
so I don't
yeah.
I don't know the whole thing, but it's something. But anyways, my point is they're using, in a sense, pseudo stuff to support a fake narrative that they want to, that's like a racist or bigoted or whatever, or, type of thing that it's a goal, like Nazis or something. They say stuff as a goal. It has, it's not, or those.
Yeah, they have a purpose within their use of the pseudo history, right?
Right, and there's a lot of pseudo history connected to the mounds, like they were ancient white people left them, and it couldn't have been, the darker savages, or
right.
I'm saying that was the thinking. Which the book that you started reading, right?
Yep.
I read about 1/3 of it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just got into it. So I'm still really, really on the introduction kind of thing.
So, well, I haven't finished it either. But just so much other stuff I'm doing. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get to it. But I'm going to read the whole thing. Because I want to talk about it.
Right.
Do a video on just that, all that information of the book or related to it. But anyways, so I'm just saying that's the pseudo history is being used maliciously, to, like, because in a sense, pseudo history, going back to the white people supposedly built the native mounds, that was used to say that actually natives are the interlopers.
Oh.
And that the original people were white people, and all these brown natives, they came in and killed them all. And so we need to, or not we need to, if we push them off the land, that's fine, because we're taking back our ancestral roots.
That sounds familiar.
You get what I'm saying?
That sounds pretty familiar.
Well, I'm showing you like pseudo history. People like, oh, that that's just Graham Hancock, or people that have wacky ideas. No, this shit is used maliciously to cause genocides or whatever. Israel's doing crap like that. So yeah. Just like, here's the thing: never in the time when the Jews, in a sense, ruled parts of Palestine, never did they rule Gaza. Never.
Yeah.
So saying that that's theirs and that they can just fucking take it because it was always theirs is literal bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no map that shows that area of Gaza as ever. And I'm not against this saying that they had part of that land.
Sure.
Never was that part. This goes
Yeah.
back to reminding me, someone said, are the Sami or the Swedes indigenous? Well, in a sense, they kind of both are, but not to the entire continent or landmass of Sweden. Swedes were always in the south. Sami was always in the north.
Right.
So when Swedes took over Sami area and said, we've always been here, pseudoscience,
that was a lie.
pseudoarchaeology, pseudohistory. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
In fact, that's a new thing. In fact, go look up, people, if you think I'm wrong. And when Sweden became a whatever thing, an actual country or whatever, its first thing, it was only in the south.
Right.
Yeah, because that's where they originated. So they were ruling in a sense themselves. When they jumped up into the Sami area, which they never ruled until, I don't know what it was, the 1800s or something. I don't know, but I mean, way late.
Right.
Never there. And then they took them over and they're, that's our land. And then they make these, in a sense, false bullshit. They go, well, we both showed up 4,000 years ago, so it doesn't matter. Well, you didn't live over there.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's kind of an aside, but I think of so when Israel moved into Palestine, even if they had owned that land, in the past and were the indigenous people of that region, they pushed out people who were literally living in that area, right? And I often think of what if a group of people came here and pushed us out of our homes and they're like, yeah, but we were here before. How would we react? What would we think of that? Would we think that was justified, or would we think wow, these are colonizers now coming to take our land, or where we live?
Totally agree.
So,
and that, like I said, and even if they could make some valid thing and they want to show any map of when they were in the height of all their stuff, it still is not all Palestine.
Right.
Never was.
It's still just that area above the Gaza Strip.
Right. They still were never, the Jews, even in their height of their power of whatever, if you gave them all the land and their height of their kingdom, it never was all Palestine. Never, ever. So, how do they now think they own all of it? It's flippant. So I agree with your point too. I'm just saying, even if I did that, your point wasn't involved. Even if they felt that they own every piece they used to, they still would never, ever own Palestine.
Yeah, that's right.
So, anyways, I'm just...
Yep.
That's that value and logic thing.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's
even the most Zionists should be an honest thinker and say, we never owned and never should try to take all of Palestine.
Yeah.
And the fact that they do makes them fucking scumbags. So.
Yep.
Anyways.
So, we just finished pseudo history. The pseudo-journalist method. Pseudo-journalism is the selective presentation of fragments of data containing multiple factual misstatements and filtered through the reporter's deceptive analytical take to present a quote-unquote discovery as something wildly at odds with reality.
Right. And who does that if not the right, hardcore as fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the whole culture war. Right?
It literally is.
It's the whole thing.
Hold on a second. Also, Armin, there we go. Talking total fucking not and putting this out there and got big following.
Yeah. Containing multiple factual misstatements. Yeah.
let's assume. Let's just see. That's how I always think. I'm able to, or I try to, or I just do with axiology, break it down.
Right.
So because that's how you can just get people to find reason, because you remove all these other things and go, well, even with this, it's still wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, you can all this could be, and it's still not good.
Yeah.
They're like, ugh. See, they want it good all the way down, and you go, even if some of that you could, it ain't all good.
So if I give you this, you're still wrong, and if I give you that, you're still wrong, and if I give you that, you're still wrong.
But I think it's a way of dialectical rhetoric, is
Right.
what I do, and it's a way of giving facts and the motivation that inspires thinking without actually trying to push the thinking.
For sure.
It's anarchist in a sense.
Right.
That you're just presenting the facts, and then the reasoned mind. I'm trusting your reasoned mind to come to the conclusion of how to think, and if you don't, then I just help you think. I don't give you the answer. I help you think. You realize the answer with me.
Yeah, that's right. I once got into an argument, forgive me, in the comments section on YouTube with somebody, and I used that phrase. I said, I don't want to tell people what to think. I want to tell them how to think.
Yeah.
And then the person I was arguing with got quite up in arms that I was going to force people on how to think like me. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm doing.
Well,
we
first
want
off,
to teach people.
Anarchism is not about force. What?
Yeah, we teach.
Yeah. Well, I think even and also, like, that's why I think rhetoric, we inspire. We don't just teach. Teaching is just the transfer of information.
Right.
I think that because not all teachers inspire you.
No, that's true.
The ones that inspire you, you learn from.
Yeah.
No, whether they're trying to teach or not, you learn.
Yeah.
Because they inspire you to learn.
Yeah, because you can grab onto it, you get excited by it in some way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm sure, like, when you first started doing stuff with me and we're talking about prehistory, I'm sure that it felt less exciting. But now that you've heard a lot of it, you're like, it's still less exciting. No, but I mean, if it starts to make it's cool, because at first it's like someone's talking a different language.
Well,
you can't enjoy the conversation if they're laughing at a joke in a different language, which I've had happen. I've been around a bunch of people that are Hispanic, and they're just joking, laughing. I have no clue what's going on.
My partner speaks multiple languages that I don't speak, so quite often I experience that. I don't know what's happening, but everybody's having a good time, so I'll just go along with it, right?
Right. Well, that's some people. Some people then assume, all kinds of, conspiracies about what's going on.
Yeah.
Because that's not the logical thing, though, is when everybody's happy, to think that it has to be about my denigration probably isn't accurate.
No,
I'm
that's
probably
right.
not that important.
Probably not the center of that conversation. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So let's move on.
Okay, so we've also, I guess there's another section under pseudo-journalism. It says pseudo-journalism, unlike standard journalism ethical standards, does not follow strict standards. It is something that may appear to be journalistic, but is not. Rather, it can be more rightly labeled fake/deceptive or pseudo-news. Then we got pseudo-scholarship. From pseudo and scholarship is a term used to describe work or as a publication or lecture, or a body of work that is presented as, but is not, the product of rigorous and objective study or research, the act of producing such work, or the pretended learning upon which it is based. Pseudoscience consists of statements, beliefs, or practices that can claim to be both scientific and factual, but are incompatible with the scientific method. Pseudoscience is often characterized by contradictory, exaggerated, or unfalsified claims, reliance on confirmation bias rather than rigorous attempts at refutation, lack of openness to evaluation by other experts, absence of systemic practices when developing hypotheses, and continued adherence long after the pseudoscientific hypotheses have been experimentally discredited. Climate deniers are accused of practicing pseudoscience, as are intelligent design creationists, astrologists, ufologists, parapsychologists, practitioners of alternative medicine, and often anyone who strays far from the scientific mainstream.
Which I think they should be.
Yeah, generally
Almost
that's
done.
pretty accurate. Yeah.
So I want you to click on pseudoarchaeology, and it'll take you to that link.
The one.
Oh, there's Graham Hancock. What the shit?
Oh yeah, nice. That's awesome.
How trustable is he? Literally, Wikipedia uses him as an example for pseudoarchaeology.
Yeah, no kidding, hey? That's fantastic.
But also, when I read this the first time, when someone told me his name, I put it in, and he came up with pseudoarchaeology. I just blew it off. I'm like, oh, that's why I didn't know he had all kinds of books. I didn't read about him. Once I saw he was in pseudoarchaeology, it's fucking done.
Yeah, that's right.
Fuck, listen to that guy.
How did this guy get placed in this position that people listen to him?
God, dude, he makes $1 million here.
It's weird.
It's disgusting. Like, fuck. Anyways, let's read about it.
Okay. Pseudoarchaeology, also known as alternative archaeology, fringe archaeology, fantastic archaeology, cult archaeology, and spooky archaeology, is the interpretation of the past by people who are not professional archaeologists and who reject or ignore the accepted data, gathering, and analytical methods of the discipline.
See, now, I'm not an archaeologist, but I accept the data gathering and analytical methods of discipline.
Yeah, I like that it's a two-part thing, right? Like, yeah, you're not a professional archaeologist, and you reject or ignore the accepted data gathering and analytical methods.
Right, because to me, really, as a thinker, the first part is not necessary. Anyone, including an archaeologist, could do pseudoarchaeology. The people that reject the paper being rejected for grounds that are fucking solid as hell, are, to me, at least appreciating or supporting pseudoarchaeology.
Yeah, they're practicing pseudoarchaeology.
Yeah, exactly. Keep reading.
So these pseudoscientific interpretations involve the use of artifacts, sites, or materials to construct scientifically insubstantial theories to strengthen the pseudoarchaeologist's claims. Methods include exaggeration of evidence, dramatic or romanticized conclusions, use of fallacious arguments, and fabrication of evidence.
Right. See, also it's good to think: any thinker who's into this, especially someone like, as we're saying, like me, is not an archaeologist. I need to make sure that I'm not saying exaggerations of evidence. Make sure I'm not being dramatic or over romanticizing conclusions. I need to make sure that I'm not using fallacious arguments, and I'm not fabricating evidence.
Yeah, that's right.
See, when you do the opposite of all that,
yeah, that's when you might actually come to reasonable conclusions.
Right. Reasoned speculations is what I call them. But anyway, so then go ahead.
So there is no unified pseudo-archaeological theory or method, obviously, but rather many different interpretations of the past which are jointly at odds with those developed by the scientific community. These include religious philosophies such as creationism or creation science, that applying to the archaeological of historical periods such as those that would have included the supposed worldwide flood myth, the Genesis flood narrative, Nephilim, Noah's Ark, and the Tower of Babel. Some pseudo-archaeological theories concern the idea that prehistoric and ancient human societies were aided in the development by intelligent extraterrestrial life, an idea propagated by those such as Italian author Peter Colosimo, French authors Louis Pauwels and Jacques Bergier in The Morning of the Magicians, and Swiss author Erich von Däniken in Chariots of the Gods.
Chariots of the Gods. Erich von Däniken is why the History Channel, I think that guy's dead or something, but I don't know. But he is... he wrote a book, and then that inspired other people, and then they, in a sense, eventually inspired other people and all kinds of conspiracy theorists to believe that everything was aliens, and that's why the History Channel had the ancient aliens crap. Come on,
Yeah, Chariots of the Gods is actually pretty famous. Others instead argue that there were human societies in the ancient period which were significantly technologically advanced, such as Atlantis. And this idea has been propagated by some people, such as Graham Hancock, in his publication Fingerprints of the Gods. Pseudoarchaeology has also been manifest in Mayanism and the 2012 phenomenon. That was when everybody thought the world was going to end in 2012 because of the Mayan calendar.
Yeah, that's correct. So, but you see that Graham Hancock's name is proudly in the right in there.
Yep, for sure.
Talking nonsense. So you heard all about him, and he's right on the Wikipedia page.
Yep, that's right. He literally is the embodiment of pseudoarchaeology.
He's the embodiment. So go ahead and click on Graham Hancock. Click on the hyperlink, so we can read just a little bit, since I've put him down so many times.
Yes.
But
Graham Bruce Hancock, born August 2nd, 1950, is a British writer who promotes pseudoscientific theories involving ancient civilizations and hypothetical lost lands. Hancock speculates that an advanced Ice Age civilization was destroyed in a cataclysm, but that its survivors passed on their knowledge to hunter-gatherers, giving rise to the earliest known civilizations of ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Mesoamerica.
See, pause for a second. Why does he think this? See, I'm saying it speculates. Are they reasonable speculations? Does evidence support exactly what he's saying?
Right.
Does it happen the way the one I showed? Right, the picture, and I already showed you the mounds. Where I'll show it now to people.
Okay.
But remember the one where I showed, like I said, where at 8,005 the forts happen, and then right after before the forts go to Europe at 7,000, that they already are making stratified mounds that are ritual.
Right.
And then at 7,000, just south of them, is the first Kurgan, proto-Kurgan, and then over near the north of the Cossack Mountains in Russia, 7,000-year-old proto-Kurgan, burying of horses, which has to do with kings, all the stuff, or a lot of the stuff that relates to Proto-Indo-European religion, culture, everything. So I'm saying, unlike with him, we're just can make shit up. It's like it doesn't know where, and no
right.
Evidence. No.
Yeah.
Keep reading, Tim.
All right. So he was born in Edinburgh. Hancock studied sociology at Durham University before working as a journalist, writing for a number of British newspapers and magazines. His first 3 books dealt with international development, including Lords of Poverty, 1989, a well-received critique of corruption in the aid system. Beginning with The Sign and the Seal in 1992, he shifted focus to speculative amounts of human prehistory and ancient civilizations, on which he has written a dozen books, most notably Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods. His ideas have been the subject of several films, as well as the Netflix series Ancient Apocalypse. And
which Corey's going to watch.
Yeah. And Hancock makes regular appearances on the podcast The Joe Rogan Experience to discuss them. Of course he does, because Joe Rogan believes anything he's told. Literally anything he's told. He's also written 2 fantasy novels and in 2013 delivered a controversial TEDx talk promoting the use of the psychoactive drink ayahuasca.
Hold on a second. So he's written 2 fantasy novels. Excuse me. He's written
he's written like 15
to 15. I mean, what are you talking about? They're all he is a fantasy writer.
Right, eh? Yeah. Fascinating.
What are the reviews of his books?
Yes. So reviews of Hancock's interpretations or of archaeological evidence and historic documents have identified them as a form of pseudoarchaeology or pseudohistory, containing confirmation bias, supporting preconceived conclusions by ignoring context, cherry picking, or misinterpreting evidence and withholding critical countervailing data. His writings have neither undergone scholarly peer review nor have been published in academic journals. They never would be. Yeah,
well,
they just
yeah, and do you see why the what'd you call them? Hancockers? the Hancockers who think that archaeology has to be open-minded and listen to him.
Right.
See, it's fucking ludicrous.
Yeah. Sorry, that's not how science works. You don't just listen to any person who says a thing.
Well, and then it also is the case that they are open and have listened to me
Right.
about things I say, because what I say, it sounds fucking reasonable and logical to them.
Well,
From the facts.
Again, yeah, like you say, from the facts, like, because you can say, here's all the evidence that has been gathered by, archaeologists over various disciplines.
Correct, and I put it all together.
Yeah, here's me putting them together.
And I add language, and I add DNA, and I add mythology, and I show how it's a cohesive thing doing a similar thing.
Yeah,
that's when they go, oh.
Okay.
Yeah, or they say, wow, if this is right, you really figured out something. This is amazing. Yeah. But anyways, not like the Graham Hancock stuff. Anyways, but it's not just to pump me up, but just to say that his thing is incorrect.
Yeah.
That archaeologists do not just somehow hate everyone that talks about archaeology if they're not an archaeologist.
Right. Yeah.
Like, wrong. No.
That's not how
they
it
hate
works.
Dumb fucking, conclusions that are unsound and have no evidence supporting them. They to support it as if they're real, and then to say that their real stuff is somehow wrong, but they need to listen to someone who's talking. That's like saying climate scientists need to listen to, the people that are saying that, it never has to do with humans.
Right.
No, they don't have to do that.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Okay, let's we don't need to keep reading about him. You're gonna watch the video. So when we do the Graham Hancock video next time, we're going to do a blog. We're gonna read stuff about a little bit of him, and then also my thoughts, if we can get to him, about why he's wrong.
Okay.
Then I want to hear from you of how you watched at least one show, so we can talk about what he's doing.
Okay.
As a skeptic, not because I have more, archaeology. So as soon as he starts saying something like, "Whoa,"
right? Yeah.
So I'm just saying it's a different perspective. I want to hear what's your perspective, especially now you've heard a lot of things. So you're going to be more skeptical, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm going in. I'm not going in blind. I'm going.
No, you're going in guns blazing.
That's right. Going like, all right, where's the bullshit?
Really? Okay, let's go back to the blog.
Okay.
I want to just address pseudo-history like we did.
Okay.
That was pseudo-archaeology. Still important, and people use that too. They use both a lot of times, pseudo-archaeology, pseudo-history, to support bigotry and stuff. So let's click on pseudo-history.
Okay. So we've got pseudo-history as a form of pseudo-scholarship that attempts to distort or misrepresent the historical record, often by employing methods resembling those used in scholarly historical research. The related term crypto-history is applied to pseudo-history derived from the superstitions intrinsic to occultism. Pseudo-history is related to pseudoscience and pseudo-archaeology, and usage of the term may occasionally overlap. Although pseudo-history comes in many forms, scholars have identified many features that tend to be common in pseudo-historical works. One example is that the use of pseudo-history is almost always motivated by a contemporary political, religious, or personal agenda. Pseudo-history also frequently presents sensational claims or a big lie about historical facts, which would require unwarranted revision of the historical record.
Right, and so that's like I'm telling you, like when they try to say different facts about stuff like the Nazis, right? Or people that say, oh, there was genocide, denial of the Holocaust, or I would say currently anyone who says there's not been a genocide in freaking going on in Gaza,
right?
Like I said. Look at the how many children were killed by Russians, in the last 2 years. It's as compared to what the Israelis are doing, in 6 months.
Yeah,
just mass killing of children, and it's absolutely horseshit. And anyways, just saying about. So what I'm reading about pseudo-history is, and pseudo-archaeology even archaeology or pseudo-history of the, what's it called? I guess the Israeli government. I'm trying to think about a different branch or something, but I'm not real skilled in fucking geopolitics or whatever. Well, because I mean, there's like different things. Like Mossad is the one. Anyways, I was trying to, maybe it's IDF or something.
Oh yeah, like their military.
There we go. Whatever. But I'm just saying. I don't know all their stuff. Do I care? States. Not really. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, generally bad.
Not a fan, so I don't like. I know Justin gets way into some of that. I listened to a recent video about, was it the brightest among us or whatever?
Oh yeah, the best and the brightest. Yeah, that was our live stream last night about the Vietnam War.
Yeah, I listened to all that, and I went, oh, that dude cares way too much about states. I could get flying fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that.
No, I mean, it's not that I'm good. I'm just saying, like all the particularities of every little like person and name and thing and a department or whatever. I'm like, I don't fucking. It's all fucking just a bunch of crap. Hierarchy bullshit.
Yeah,
anyways, I'm just saying. Not saying he was promoting a hierarchy. I'm just saying that because I am so disliking of hierarchy, I don't like get into like kings and queens. I don't listen to that bullshit. I can tell you fuck all about kings and queens. I don't know who relates to fucking who, because I just don't care. You guys aren't special. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyways, sorry, but
Nope, fair.
All right, so another hallmark
of pseudo-history is an underlying premise that scholars have a furtive agenda to suppress the promoter's thesis. A premise commonly corroborated by elaborate conspiracy theories. Works of pseudo-history often point exclusively to unreliable sources, including myths and legends, often treated as literal historical truth, to support the thesis being promoted while ignoring valid sources that contradict it. Sometimes a work of pseudo-history will adopt a position of historical relativism, insisting that there really is no such thing as historical truth, and that any hypothesis is just as good as any other.
That's total nonsense.
Right, eh? Yeah, obviously that's fucking garbage. Many works of pseudo-history conflate mere possibility with actuality, assuming that if something could have happened, then it did.
Which is absolute fallacy.
Yeah, exactly. This reminds me of, I think there was a guy, Richard Carrier. He wrote a book about like Jesus being a myth, basically, and he tried to apply Bayesian logic to prove it.
Yeah.
And basically, his work was not accepted by historical mainstream because it's not.
He's listed somewhere. I seen him.
Oh yeah. He's listed in one
maybe if you read down far enough in pseudo-history, you'll find him. But yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah. I mean, I interviewed him years and years ago for my podcast that I had in 2013, 2014. And yeah, I recall like most historians of the time that he is analyzing do not agree with his conclusions. And yeah, so he
so I scrolled down to where it says ancient aliens. You see where it says ancient technology, lost lands. Click on that. That's Graham Hancock.
Right.
So I wanted to yeah, it is.
Ancient aliens, ancient technologies, and lost lands.
Let's go down to where it says the author Graham Hancock
here we
sold
go.
over 4 million books.
So the author Graham Hancock has sold over 4 million copies of books promoting the pseudo-historical thesis that all the major monuments of the ancient world, including Stonehenge, the Egyptian pyramids, and the Moai of Easter Island, were built by a single ancient super civilization.
Pause for 1 second. So I think pyramids, mounds, kurgans, dolmens, all those mound things are related.
Right.
I do not think that is the same thing as the circle structures, which are another thing. I think they're related to Göbekli Tepe, which is a different thing. So one's related to Russia and Siberia, and one's related to Turkey, Southeast Turkey. So they're not the same thing. And
Right.
I do think things are connected, but not those things.
Right. And they're certainly not all built by a single ancient civilization.
No, fuck no.
So,
Not even close. Not even
Yeah.
one DNA. Put it that way too.
yeah, I like how you put it like that. Like you're very careful to say, like, I think some things are related, but not those things. And I'm not, I'm not drawing any hard conclusions about these being connected to those. And like, but he's got like this like overarching, just wild theory that they're all built by the same civilization.
And then he goes, "Oh yeah, see that it's not 5,000. That's actually 9,000. See that they say only 3,000, but I think it's 13. Like, what the fuck?
How do you do that? How can you just say that?"
Right. So let's read what he says, because he does this. This talks about what he says. So I'm not
All right.
I'm not like straw manning him and shit.
Okay, so he said they were all built by a single ancient super civilization, which Hancock claims thrived from 15,000 to 10,000 BC, and possessed technological and scientific knowledge equal to or surpassing that of modern civilization.
Totally ridiculous.
No
But
kidding.
So 15 and 10 means 17,000 to 12,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Plus, like I told you, the mounds, the pyramids, that shit doesn't start till like 8,000, 7,000. That's the time of that shit.
Yeah.
Not 10, 12,000 and 15,000. No.
Ridiculous.
No. So, and now I figured that out with that new evidence and putting it all together, and the movements of people, the DNA, the cultures. They're like, that's what happened. But anyways, let's go down to the anti-Semitic pseudo-history.
Yeah. So the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion is a fraudulent work purporting to show a historical conspiracy for world domination by Jews. The work was conclusively proven to be a forgery in August 1921, when the Times revealed that extensive portions of the document were directly plagiarized from Maurice Joly's 1864 satirical dialogue, The Dialogue in Hell Between Machiavelli and Montesquieu, as well as Hermann Goetsch's 1868 anti-Semitic novel Biarritz. The Khazar theory is an academic fringe theory that postulates the bulk of European Jewry are of Central Asian or Turkic origin. In spite of mainstream academic consensus conclusively rejecting it, the theory has been promoted in anti-Semitic and some anti-Zionist circles, arguing that Jews are an alien element both in Europe and in Palestine. Holocaust denial and genocide denial in general are widely categorized as pseudo-history. Major proponents of Holocaust denial include David Irving and others who argue that the Holocaust, Holodomor, Armenian genocide, Assyrian genocide, Greek genocide, and other genocides did not occur or were exaggerated greatly.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Revisionism.
All right. Ethnocentric revisionism. Oh boy.
Sounds going to be a fun subject, right?
Yeah. Most Afrocentric or pre-Columbian African America contact theories, see ancient Egyptian race controversy, ideas have been identified as pseudo-historical alongside the indigenous Aryans theory published by Hindu nationalists during the 1990s and 2000s. The crypto history developed within Germanic mysticism and Nazi occultism has likewise been placed under this categorization. Among leading Nazis, Heinrich Himmler is believed to have been influenced by occultism, and according to one theory, developed the SS base at Weselberg in accordance with an esoteric plan. The Sun language theory is a pseudo-historical ideology which argues that all language are descended from a form of Proto-Turkish. The theory may have been partially devised in order to legitimize Arabic and Semitic loanwords occurring in the Turkic language, by instead asserting that the Arabic and Semitic words were derived from the Turkish ones rather than vice versa.
Crazy, right? They're
Yeah.
backwards thinking.
Yeah, like specifically backwards thinking.
But you see how all this is a lack of critical thinking, as we talked about at the beginning.
Right.
And why I
Yeah.
wanted to address Armin and his, talking and saying this stuff is just absolute ridiculousness. And he, deserves to be, rethinking his ideas because he's doing, harm.
Yeah.
Just
for
like
sure.
these are.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. A large number of nationalist pseudo-historical theories deal with the legendary 10 lost tribes of ancient Israel. British Israelism, also known as Anglo-Israelism, the most famous example of this type, has been conclusively refuted by mainstream historians using evidence from a vast array of different fields of study. Another form of ethnocentric revisionism is nationalistic pseudo-history. The ancient Macedonians' continuity theory is one such pseudo-historical theory, which postulates demographic, cultural, and linguistic continuity between Macedonians of antiquity and the main ethnic group in present-day North Macedonia. Also, the Bulgarian medieval dynasty
by the way, pause for a second.
Hmm.
The reason it's called North Macedonia, you do know there is no other place called Macedonia.
Okay.
The Greeks said they would go to fucking war over that name.
Is that right?
Yeah, because the Greeks, Alexander the Great, they came from Macedonia.
Okay.
Which was actually part Northern Greek and part probably Macedonia. So it's really, once again, it's not one or the other. States are stupid, people.
States are stupid, people.
Right?
Yeah.
So in a sense, for instance, Alexander the Great becomes the Greeks, right? All the Greeks. So when people talk about Greeks, so Macedonia is the origin of the Greeks. And so they had nationalistic, right-wing bullshit and said, if you use the name Macedonia, because that country said, we're going to call ourselves Macedonia. And the Greeks said, we'll fucking kill you. We're going to go to war.
Over a name.
Right? Because I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. It's not like this doesn't matter. Stuff I'm talking about, people care enough to kill over this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have killed people because they believe this shit. So I'm saying is that, They said, fine, how about we call it North Macedonia? Because if you want to say that you're Macedonia, even though they actually don't even use the name Macedonia, they use Greece or whatever. They don't even use that fucking name, but damn it, you're not going to use it. Like you said, the fuck?
Ridiculous.
Like, oh yeah, that's a reason for war. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Anyways. So I'm just showing you how this is. I know it can seem like all academic, but no, this is fucking serious.
Yeah, it matters. Yeah, for sure. It's like it's cliche, right? The people who, if you don't know history, then you're doomed to repeat it.
Right.
But we see it over and over and over again, even within our own modern history. We see it over and over again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Even like current history.
Yeah.
Like January 6th, the people on the right say that they were just tourists. Like, the fuck?
They just refuse to acknowledge it, and then
you didn't see what I saw? Outrageous. So I didn't like it, and I kind of liked it. The part I kind of liked was the joy of seeing cops beaten with flags that say one thin red line about the police support, and they're beating cops with it. Classic.
Yeah, classic.
That is like, oh my God.
And I mean, you know me, I'm a guy who says treason is good, actually. but yeah, when the fascists are doing it,
like Nazis taking over is never to me a joy.
Yeah, no,
holy fuck. But seeing Nazis kick other, fucking cops' ass and then do it with things to say, I love cops. Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
You can't make that shit up. It's just so fucking funny.
Treason is good, but fascists doing it is bad.
Yeah, fascists doing it. Well, because it's so yeah. I don't like this government. I don't want fascists to be the ones that bring it down.
Exactly.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
No, this is bad. I don't want worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I said something should be done, it wasn't let's make it worse.
Yeah, I didn't mean let's create a white ethno state with like
Yeah, exactly.
Donald Trump at the head of it.
Anyone the head of a white ethno state.
Wow,
Anyway.
that's just it. Yeah.
Yeah. So also Bulgarian.
All right. So also the Bulgarian medieval dynasty of the Komotopouls, which ruled the first Bulgarian Empire in its last decades, is presented as Macedonian, ruling a medieval Macedonian state because the location of its capitals is in Macedonia.
Once again, states are stupid. Yes, people lived in areas. And guess what? It wasn't neat in the states. Because, states are bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyways, but just showing you, Macedonia, once again, is the origin of the Greeks. So go ahead and keep reading.
So Dacianism is a Romanian pseudo-historical current that attempts to attribute far more influence over Europe and world history to the Dacians than that they actually enjoyed. Dacianist historiography claims that the Dacians held primacy over all other civilizations, including the Romans, that the Dacian language was the origin of Latin and all other languages such as Hindi and Babylonian, and sometimes that the Zalmoxis cult has structural links to Christianity. Dacianism was most prevalent in national communist Romania, as the Ceausescu regime portrayed the Dacians as insurgents defying an imperialist Rome. The Communist Party had formally attached proto-cronism, as Dacianism was known, to Marxist ideology by 1974. That's it. That's one I didn't know anything about. Never heard of it.
Huh? Hey, well, I think that you've probably learned one or two things from me.
A couple, yeah.
Let's lead the pre-Columbian theories. See it down there?
Yep. Pre-Columbian transoceanic contact theories.
Yeah. But it says excluding the North colonization of America.
Excluding the Norse colonization of the Americas and other reputable scholarship, most theories of pre-Columbian transoceanic contact have been classified as pseudo-history, including claims that the Americas were actually discovered by Arabs or Muslims. Gavin Menzies' book, 1421, The Year China Discovered the World, which argues for the idea that Chinese sailors discovered America, has also been categorized as a work of pseudo-history.
Now we're to racists.
Racist pseudo-history. I think a lot of racists were mixed in with the other stuff too, right?
Oh, hell yes. Yeah, but they also deserve their own category because they distinctly, you can pick out. Well, I agree with you. A lot of the stuff, as I said at the beginning, some of the stuff is just lack of critical thinking, but some stuff is just bigotry. What's underlying value of why they like this shit? Bigotry. It supports their conclusion that, or desired conclusion, I should say.
Yeah.
Go ahead and read it.
Josiah Priest and other 19th century American writers wrote pseudo-historical narratives that portrayed African Americans and Native Americans in an extremely negative light. Priest's first book was The Wonders of Nature and Providence Displayed, 1826. The book is regarded by modern critics as one of the earliest works of modern American pseudo-history. Priests attacked Native Americans in American Antiquities and Discoveries of the West, 1833, and African Americans in Slavery, as it relates to the Negro, 1843. Other 19th century writers, such as Thomas Gold, Appleton, in his Sheaf of Papers, 1875, and George Perkins Marsh in his The Goths of New England, seized upon the false notions of Viking history to promote the superiority of white people, as well as to oppose the Catholic Church. Such misuse of Viking history and imagery reemerged in the 20th century among some groups promoting white supremacy.
Yep, don't we know that now?
Yeah, no kidding, hey?
When we did a video, remember, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
The Vikings and all that stuff. What do they say about Israel?
Yeah, it says a recent but unfounded claim by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu
Oh, hold
asserts
on a second. He talks, you can almost assume he's lying.
yeah, that's
Holy
right.
fuck.
Yeah. Asserts that the Holocaust was promoted and encouraged by Palestinian muftis rather than Nazi Germany. This claim has come under strong criticism from historians across the world.
Yeah, it's
Because
fucking
it's just a
wrong.
fucking lie. Yeah.
Holy
It's just
fuck,
a lie.
what a piece of garbage.
Yeah, no kidding.
Racist.
He's got to say something bullshit to justify what he's doing, right?
Right. So that's it.
Right on.
Well, I appreciate, you helping with this, dry subjects of pseudo land.
Yeah. The pseudo history and stuff. I like learning about what wrong-headed people think sometimes. It can be amusing, but also horrifying in some ways. And yeah.
So you feel more comfortable with the subjects and stuff now?
Yeah, I think so. In some ways, yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't have a deep knowledge of various things, but on a surface level, I can point out, I think I could notice some pseudo history.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You're like, wait a minute. Yeah. And that's, I think, the point too, is that it's a good way of categorizing things of logical fallacies. Just like logical fallacies, some people give names and things. I usually just focus on correct thinking and how you do it.
Right.
The structure of thinking correct, critical thinking. Just like I have the hammer of truth.
Right.
Where when it's a process, ontology, epistemology, axiology.
Right.
So whenever and it works on everything, and it's a hammer of truth in the fact that it will build truth, which is what I do. I use it, and I make convincing arguments that even archaeologists go, that's critical thinking.
Yep, for sure.
So, but it's because that is what my point is. I don't know all the logical fallacies. I just know what is a logical fallacy, meaning that it doesn't follow logic.
Right.
Like it should jump, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch, all those different logical fallacies, can basically be just if you follow logical thinking. Yeah, you don't have to have the names of them. You can just be
right.
Okay,
so that's why I try to teach that easy method for people, how to use these different philosophies.
Yeah.
So ontology is the thingness of things, which you should start with, I don't know. And so you need to ask.
What is that?
Right. So when someone says, well, I believe in God, Corey should say, what do you mean by God?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Assume it's a Christian God or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You should and then they'll say, well, they're going to answer, well, God is, the creator. And then you're going to have to ask, what do you mean by creator? Because see, you can't, or I don't think you should start jumping in all kinds of stuff, because you need to get it foundation.
Yeah.
Then you could do it all.
Yeah. If you can get to a place where you understand what they mean, then you can ask, well, how do you know that?
Right. Right. Because the first thing you need, and here's the thing too, that's so crazy. People actually appreciate you asking.
Yeah.
They don't realize that I'm actually doing a hammer of truth on them.
Right. Because they get to explain themselves, right? So they feel
right. And I'm not attacking them. I'm not calling them names or whatever. I'm like, okay, you explain it to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then they explain it to me, and it's sometimes not what I thought. Often it's exactly what I thought. But they'll offer sometimes an unfounded thing, right? And then they'll offer an unfounded thing to supposedly support the first unfounded thing. And then you'll say, well, no. What do you mean by that? They'll offer another unfounded thing. And then another unfounded. Then they're like, you're asking all kinds of questions. You literally supported nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's not reasoned, it's not logical. So like I said, you ask, what do you mean by that? So you're asking, what is it? What is you want explanation. You need to gather data. And then once you gather the data, you look at it. Next thing you know, how do you know this?
Yeah.
Where did you get your source is also in a sense a thing. Like me, I try to give sources and links and stuff, and even art, try to explain the links. I want you to know you can go look them all up. I'm not hiding nothing.
Yeah.
So because that helps. So but you're asking them for that. That's what you should give logically. You should offer that. If you say this is true, you should have all this out.
Sure. Yeah.
So
yeah, you got to be able to answer those questions, right?
Right. So how do you know that's not answering a question? It is a question.
Yeah.
So that in a sense, you're giving the person a chance to give you reason of why, maybe with even wild things, if they have,
sure,
wild evidence, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I can't remember what it was. They figured out that like sometimes dust particles in the sky, ice forms around them.
Okay.
And without the dust, it doesn't make like snow or whatever, or rain, because rain starts as frozen up top and then it melts as it comes down. So everything actually starts as ice. That was also something I was like, what the fuck? Whoa.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or that most stuff does. Let's say maybe assume something can't, but they were just explaining that how like they figured it out, like how ice particles, and they said also like micro trash and micro stuff. It's also
Okay.
makes rain, but it's garbage. But because the rain doesn't give a shit, it's something, and then the cold, and then it
Right.
guess it's
As
like
long as the particle
rock
can attach
crystals,
to it.
Right, it's attached to it. It's like when you stick a stick in sugar and you make rock crystals.
Right. Right.
Now nature, not magic.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
But I'm saying, so it's a similar thing. So how do you know that? To me, should be after you get them information, which most people can't ever get, especially if they're talking about religion. If I hold them, they ain't going to get past.
Just what are you talking about?
Yeah, like, well, it's a creator. Well, what's a creator? And you're like, well, it's a supernatural. What do you mean by supernatural? Well, it's
I don't know what any of this is. I don't know what any of this is. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Holy shit. Well, you haven't answered me. Fuck, you haven't told me something I can think about.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, so I'm just saying, so but after they if someone could answer how they first answer what it is, and then how they know that, then the next thing, the axiology to me, is when you evaluate. Have they offered valid reason and evidence? Are these good sources of critical thinking? What is of value? What is being, why is it like those pseudo-history? Why is it being promoted?
Right.
What do they say when they promote it? That like Graham Hancock, I'm the most hated, person, from, people, archaeologists are out to get me. And no, when you say fucked up shit, yeah, people have a problem with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing fucking strange or like Donald Trump. Why are you hounding me? You're a criminal. You literally done shitloads of horrid crimes to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean? Why?
You keep breaking the law and doing bad things. I mean, and hey, a lot of laws are unjust, but in general, like Donald Trump breaks the law. That's why the law is going after him.
He breaks laws that I would agree that most of us would still think is broken laws. He sexually assaulted a woman or women. He done fucked up shit. So, and he's like, oh, it's all fake. It's all whatever. Yeah, pseudo history, he's doing it now.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. But anyways, go ahead and Corey, tell us about what you do and where to find you. What's going on?
I do interviews and I talk with my buddy Justin about a variety of books. And we're like, I'm an anarchist and he's a Marxist, and we look at things through that perspective. And then I do interviews with a variety of people spreading critical thinking, hopefully, and progressive politics and left-wing philosophy. And I do that over at the Skeptical Leftist podcast or Skeptical Leftist on YouTube.
Yeah, everybody should check out his YouTube and his podcast, and go give him stuff on Patreon. Go support him. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate this channel as well. So there's lots of Lots of good information here. So hopefully people make it to the end of these videos.
Well, I hope they do, because I agree with you that the whole point is giving all this good information.
For sure.
All right. Well, take care.
Thanks.